We're only 3 days away from the home opener. The Blue Jays will warm up against the St. Louis Cardinals, as they always do now, in Montreal tonight. Marcus Stroman takes the hill, and the men who'll call it, and you'll be hearing their voices regularly this year, are standing by at Olympic Stadium. Let's get a word now from Buck Martinez and Pat Tabler. Gentlemen, take it away.
Thank you very much, Jamie. And indeed, the Blue Jays are back in Montreal, and you can see the fans are pouring in. And Pat, even though it's a Monday and Tuesday two-game series, the fans still show their enthusiasm for baseball back in Montreal.
And so do the players. The players love it. They love the change from Florida, getting out of the hot sun and the day games. It's more like what they're going to see come Thursday back at Rogers Center. Bigger ballparks, bigger crowds. The lights are just a little bit different. The outfielders talk about being able to track the ball in the outfield. The hitters talk about the depth of the outfield and everything like that. It's a great dress rehearsal, and the Blue Jays have been doing it for 5 years now. I think it's a great dress rehearsal before that opening day on Thursday.
And another guy that's going to take advantage of this atmosphere is Marcus Stroman. It'll just be his second official start of the spring, but Stroman feels pretty good despite some early shoulder problems down in Florida.
That's right. First of all, he is healthy. When I talked to Pete Walker today, he said that's the number one thing. He says he's a little bit behind all the other guys, but he's getting there. He's up to 70 pitches today. I don't know where that's going to take him. 4 innings, 5 innings, 6 innings, whatever. 70 pitches for Stroman, and he's treating it like a regular season game. I'm going to use all of my pitches. I'm going to pump it up there just a little bit more. Not like a spring training game with the atmosphere here at the ballpark.
Well, and he's going to face the Cardinals A team. It's a great lineup we're going to see tonight, featuring Yadi Molina and Marcell Ozuna, the new Cardinals. So it should be a good lineup and a good test for Marcus Stroman here in Montreal. Jamie?
Buck, thank you. Randall Grichuk will play for the Blue Jays and get to see his old team. And on Thursday, they're going to shed those spring training jerseys and put on the real ones for the home opener. A 4-game series awaits against the New York Yankees. Jay Happ starts that opener. And then on Friday night, Aaron Sanchez goes to the mound. Saturday and Sunday, it's Estrada and Stroman. And then on Monday, the Blue Jays debut of Jaime Garcia at home against the White Sox. This is a look of a 5-man rotation that some say is one of the best in all of the American League. Here once again is Joe Siddall. Let's focus on the guy going on Friday, Aaron Sanchez. Have you got any concern, based on the fact he made only 8 starts last year, about what he's capable of doing this season?
I have no concerns, and I'm actually very excited to watch Aaron Sanchez this year, as Blue Jays fans should be as well. This is not just a good pitcher. This is a Cy Young candidate, an ERA champ 2 years ago. The finger issues are behind him. It was a frustrating season for Aaron Sanchez, dealing with the fingernail, dealing with the blister, and now he's got it all behind him. He had a great spring. More importantly than anything, coming back from injury, sometimes it's that mental hurdle. Aaron Sanchez is ready for the 2018 season.
We'll have coverage all day on Thursday of the home opener. Blue Jays Central itself begins at 2 Eastern Time and 11 a.m. Pacific Time, and you know they'll be calling that man's name as part of the starting lineup for that game against the Yankees, as Kevin Pillar makes some friends along the sidelines at Olympic Stadium. The first pitch between the Blue Jays and Cardinals comes right after this.
In the Olympic Stadium, we are set for some baseball, and the Cardinals are the opponent this year. Mike Matheny and the Cardinals are in town. They've won 16 games this spring, 16-12, with a couple of ties. Top of the order, Dexter Fowler, Tommy Pham, Matt Carpenter, and then Marcell Ozuna. This is a bat the Cardinals really needed, a power bat in the middle of their order. Last year for the Marlins, he had 37 home runs, drove in 104. They haven't had that kind of bat since Albert Pujols. And Yadier Molina, what can you say about Molina? An 8-time All-Star, a terrific leader behind the plate. The Cardinals throwing the A-team against Marcus Stroman. Starting pitchers brought to you by Scott's Turf Builder, Green Max Lawn Food. Get a deep green lawn in just 3 days.
I think everybody wanted to see this game right here. Marcus Stroman back where he belongs on the mound. He's had limited action this spring because of that inflammation in that right shoulder. But what a great year last year. 13-9 with a .309 earned run average for Stroman. He made a start against the Canadian junior team, and then his last start against Philadelphia. That was really his first start of the spring. 2 2/3 innings. He's reached for 5 hits in a run. He's going to go after it tonight like it's a regular season game.
First pitch is in there for a strike, and we are underway. Dexter Fowler, the leadoff man. He's had a decent spring. Last year, 18 home runs for the Cardinals. He's the table setter for this lineup, and with the addition of Ozuna now, Fowler, Carpenter, top of the order, they can just focus on getting on base ahead of that big bat in the cleanup spot.
Whoever Mike Matheny put in that number 4 spot felt like they were just a little bit out of character. They have that big guy in the middle of the lineup now to drive in runs. They don't have to worry about it. Say, hey, you guys get on base. Let Ozuna do what he does, and that is drive in runs.
A base hit through the left side of the infield, in the left field, and Dexter Fowler is aboard with the first hit of the ball game. Defense is always important with Marcus Stroman on the mound. Let's take a look at the defense, the way it sets up here tonight in Montreal. The veteran Russell Martin behind the plate, but the infield defense is really important. Diaz, Espinoza up the middle, Solarte and Smoke at the corners, and the veteran behind the plate.
Man, he loves it. Loves coming back here, performing in front of some of his hometown fans, if you will. Loves coming here, playing, and so we have to mention Russell tonight behind the plate. This is a big game for him catching Stroman because Marcus hasn't pitched that much this spring.
This is Tommy Pham. Pham, a little bit of a slow start this spring. A couple of days ago, he went down to minor leagues, got about 8 at bats, and came back the next day and got a couple of hits.
Yeah, that was on Saturday that he was able to go down to the minor leagues. And if you've never been into a minor league situation, there's 4 games going on at once. So he was hopping from field to field, getting some at bats.
Ground ball to Stroman. This is what he's best at. The double play ball. What a way to start the game for the Gold Glove winner in 2017, Marcus Stroman.
Well, you got to be on your toes when Marcus is on the mound because he's got that great sinker. He's got great movement on all of his pitches, and when he keeps it down, you're going to get your share of ground ball outs. Tons of them last year. And a lot of them just like that started the 1-4-3 double play, starting with Marcus, the Gold Glover.
Stroman, a terrific defender, obviously acknowledged by the fact that he picked up his first Gold Glove award last year. So that erases that leadoff single. Now the number 3 hitter, Matt Carpenter. Good sinking fastball. He gets ahead.
He's got some pop on those pitches tonight. Pete Walker was telling me this afternoon that Marcus, he could just tell that there were some problems early on in spring training. He didn't have that life on his fastball like we just saw him throw past Carpenter.
Another good pitch right at the knees, and the home plate umpire, Stu Sherwater, didn't like it. You talk about Christmas, and there's a difference between velocity and finish, and Stroman now looks like he's got a little extra finish on his pitches.
When you have some problems with your shoulder, you can't finish your pitches. You can't stay up on top of them. And that was the problem that he showed early on in spring training. He was getting on the side of pitches. He couldn't get on top of it and finish it. They noticed it. And for the Blue Jays, being able to take him out of his bullpen sessions and let that calm down just a little bit, get that inflammation out of that shoulder, get it right. The only drawback of that is Marcus isn't going to throw on opening day, and you know he wanted to.
The breaking ball for a strike. That evens the count at 2-2. As long as Stroman and the rest of his rotation make 28 to 30 starts, the Blue Jays will be in great shape.
They'll be fine. From top to bottom in that division, pretty good pitching.
Here's the 2-2 pitch. Down and in for ball 3. Carpenter's had a heck of a spring. 474 average. He's a good hitter.
Yeah.
He has led the league in hits. Back in 2013, had 199 hits. He's an on-base machine.
He's one of the guys that Mike Matheny was talking about, where he's a little bit out of character last year.
So Stroman, a good inning. Good start to his ball game. Gives up a base hit, gets a double play and a strikeout. No problem in the top half of the first. He's underway than the manager, John Gibbons. He said it's been a long spring, but a good way to wrap spring up here in Montreal. Blue Jays 13 wins this spring. Granderson, Solarte, Martin, Smoke, and then Randall Grichuk, the former Cardinal. He had 66 home runs in 4 seasons playing with St. Louis, and he's starting to swing the bat a little bit better. Had a couple of different injuries so far this spring, a wrist injury and a rib cage problem, but Kevin Pillar's had no problem at all this spring. His best spring average of his career, 19 hits in 44 at-bats. Pillar is primed and ready to start the season.
That is the lineup that will face Michael Wacha. And when you talk about the St. Louis Cardinals, you got to talk pitching. They've got a lot of good pitching, and here's one of them. Wacha bounced back in 2017 from a rough 2016 when he was really set back with some shoulder problems. He was 12-9 with an ERA of 4.13. He made 30 starts in 2017. That matched his career high. He also struck out a career high 158 batters, second most on the team.
Wacha gets ahead of the leadoff man, Curtis Granderson. Curtis has had a good spring. 300 with 4 home runs. He's also chipped in with a pair of triples. One thing that he's getting accustomed to is playing in left field. He hasn't played an awful lot in left field, the natural center fielder. He's played some right, but hasn't played many games in left.
And it looks like it's going to be some type of platoon out there in left field. Looks like Randall Grichuk has right field down. Of course, Kevin Pillar in center field. And then Granderson in left field, splitting some time with Steve Pearce.
Takes that pitch upstairs. Curtis Granderson now 37 years old, but you'd never notice it watching him go through his drills all throughout the spring. Brings a lot of enthusiasm here. Wacha punches him out for the first out in the bottom of the first inning. Take a look at the defense behind Michael Wacha. Cardinals always known for good defense. Ozuna, Pam, and Fowler in the outfield, and Marcell Ozuna will be the everyday left fielder for St. Louis.
We've talked about his bat. Now let's talk a little bit about his glove. He's a Gold Glove winner in left field. He made 153 starts in the outfield last season, 5 errors, 10 outfield assists. He's got 18 over the last 2 seasons. So on top of a great bat, he's also a great defender in the outfield.
Wacha drops that get-ahead curveball in there for a strike to Solarte. Goes after that high pitch. It's 0-2.
That pitch right there from Wacha is a pitch that he's been working on this spring. He's known as a guy who keeps the ball down, gets his share of ground ball outs, and he's a strike thrower. But this spring they've wanted to get him to start elevating that 4-seam fastball just a little bit. Get those hitters to stand up and it also works well with his curveball.
Here's the 0-2 pitch. Ripped, but right to the third baseman. Carpenter takes his time, and Solarte's retired on a hot shot to third. That'll bring up Russell Martin.
Batting third, the catcher, number 55, Russell Martin.
I don't care how many seasons you have played, it's always nice to come home.
It never gets old, does it? We've been doing this now for 3 years with Russell, and tell you what, it's still getting goosebumps when he comes to the plate for the first time. Crowd gives him that standing ovation.
It's awesome. Russell grew up here in Montreal, of course, and they have really treated him well on his return. So a lot of family and friends here. There's a cutter off the plate outside. It's 2-1. Russell looks great this spring. He's got a good test against him right now in Michael Walker, but Russell beefed up a little bit, hit the weights, and put on some muscle. There's a base hit into center field. Martin heading for second. Here's the throw, and he's going to slide in ahead of the tag. Great opportunity. He took advantage of Tommy Pham. Pham kind of nonchalanted it over in the alley. Martin, running with his head up, was able to hustle into second with a 2-out double.
Players don't play on an artificial surface that much. There's none in the National League, so Tommy Pham was playing that very cautiously. Cutter down and away. Russell gets enough of it, but watch how he's running. He's got his eye on that outfielder, and he sees that Pham, instead of charging the ball, just kind of slid over and played it on a couple of bounces. He said, hey, I don't care how old I am. I'm going to take advantage of that and pick up 90 feet and get into scoring position.
So he is in scoring position for Justin Smoke. Smoke just starting to get it going. A couple of home runs and 6 RBIs in the spring. Of course, coming off a career season last year. Hit .270 with 38 homers and 90 ribbies.
Battled some injuries this spring. Missed some time with some injuries, but he's going to be fine. This is where he will hit in the regular season, right in that cleanup spot.
Downstairs, it's 1-1. You know what? We used to make such a big deal about number of at-bats, but players nowadays, they're not really too concerned about how many at-bats they get in exhibition games. They figure they can get their work done in the cage or in a minor league game, if you will. Ball off the plate inside, he goes after it.
Well, they know so much. There's so much information about pitchers. So it's more about getting the feel. And they'll spend a lot of time in the batting cages in the morning during spring training, then get their 3 or 4 at-bats in the afternoon, and then play again in the cage in the afternoon after the ball game. Heck, it used to be, give me 100 at-bats in the spring. Not anymore.
Michael Walker strikes out Smoke. A couple of strikeouts in the bottom of the first. We've played an inning here in Montreal. No score.
Guerrero Jr. spent a lot of time here at Olympic Stadium. As a young boy, he was never far from his father, Vladimir Guerrero, who spent 8 seasons with the Montreal Expos. Now, earlier this afternoon, our cameras caught Vladdy Jr. getting himself, well, let's just say, reacquainted with the Big O. He told me that the moment he entered the stadium, it felt like home. One of the first things he did when we got to the city was he wanted to make sure he ate some poutine. Then the second thing he did, he said, when he got here to the ballpark, was look for the ice cream machine he enjoyed as a young boy that used to be situated outside the locker of the Expos clubhouse. Vladdy Jr. said he was disappointed to see that it was no longer there. Now, he also told me that he called his father as soon as he was told he was making the trip to Montreal. Guerrero Sr. told him, look, take it all in, enjoy the moment, enjoy the city, and above all, Guerrero Sr. wanted to tell him that he was very proud of him. But
indeed, he is proud of him, and boy, what a future lies ahead for that young man. And he had a good time. Boy, he put on a show during batting practice. Looked like his dad hitting here at the Big O.
He was one-hopping that wall with regularity.
This is Marcell Ozuna. We mentioned Ozuna last year with the Marlins, put up a terrific season. He takes the first pitch changeup from Marcus Stroman. Looked like he was surprised by that pitch.
Told you, Marcus is going to use all of his pitches. He's treating this like a regular season game, not a tune-up, not a regular spring training game where you might work on a few things here. He's going to go right after and use all of his pitches.
We mentioned the Cardinals were in desperate need of a big bat, and boy, Ozuna has really fit the bill. 27 years old, from the Dominican Republic, had a terrific breakout season a year ago.
Silver Slugger Award winner.
Two-time All-Star, won a Gold Glove last year for the first time, as you mentioned. 37 homers, 124 RBIs as he hit .312. First time he's hit over 300.
And his job is to drive in runs. They really struggled in the 3 and 4 hole last year, the Cardinals. And they were looking. They needed somebody to drive in runs out of that cleanup spot, and they think they found their man.
Mike Matheny also recognized the importance of Ozuna's personality on this ball club. It really brings out the best of his teammates. Good breaking ball from Stroman. Second strikeout of the ball game. Good finish to that slider.
That is encouraging when you can get on top of the ball like this and really make it dance. On top of the break that we saw, look where he hits Russell Martin right where he's holding that glove. Tough to hit that one.
One away for Jose Martinez, who they project to be their everyday first baseman this year. Now the first pitch changeup as he gets ahead of Martinez.
They expect big things out of Jose Martinez. Look at the numbers in 106 games. Last year, 14 home runs. They put him in the lineup. He started hitting, and he never stopped. He's going to get the majority of the starts over at first base for the Cardinals this season.
A couple of years ago, he set a PCL record for batting average. He hit over 380.
How does that happen? How do you win a batting title, hit 380?
How about that?
And then you can't stay with the team.
Yeah, he was with Kansas City at the time, playing in AAA. Kansas City didn't even bring him to the big leagues that year. But he's had problems. He's had 3 right knee surgeries. He missed all of 2009. Ground ball. Espinosa backs up into the outfield and throws him out. 2 away. Danny Espinosa was the everyday second baseman for the Nationals in 2011-2012. He's played 600 games at second. But I think the Blue Jays are looking at him more as a shortstop. You can see him talking about the turf and how that ball did a zigzag as it made it to him at second base. Devin Travis has been great all spring long, and he'll be the opening day second baseman. He looks terrific.
And he's not here. If you're wondering why he isn't here, they want to keep him off this turf. This is a hard AstroTurf surface. Just keep him off the turf. Work out for a couple of days, fly to Toronto, and start on Thursday. Just remain healthy.
Well, we've got 2 of the best catchers in baseball right here. with Yadi Molina and Russell Martin. They have been the standard for excellence behind the plate for a long time. When you talk about the leaders in games played, 3 of the active catchers, Russell Martin, Yadi Molina, and Brian McCann, they're 1, 2, and 3 in games played and innings caught. Yadi started out with the Cardinals in 2004. Russell came up to the Dodgers for the first time in 2006. Yadi has started more games than any catcher in spring training this year. This is his 18th start behind the plate.
You know who is caught now, how many years you said, as the opening day starter? You know who the last opening day starting catcher for the Cardinals was before Yadi Molina? He's in the ballpark. There he is right there. His manager, Mike Matheny, was the last Cardinal catcher to start on opening day.
When you talk about the backbone of your ball club, you certainly want to start with a great catcher, and the Cardinals and the Blue Jays both have those excellent catchers behind the plate.
Look at the games, the home runs, and that's just the visual that you can see on paper. How about everything they bring in the clubhouse and leaders in helping that pitching staff?
Ground ball to third. Solarte throws out Molina. Another good inning for Marcus Stroman. He looks like he's ready to start the season.
Presented by Honda. We've been fans since day one. Honda, official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays and proud fan since 1977.
Comfortable evening here in Montreal. Indoors, a good crowd, good turnout on hand. There's some concern about whether or not the crowd would come out given the fact it's a Monday night and a Tuesday night this season.
And the hockey's going on right down the street.
Game, Red Wings and Canadians playing downtown. Randall Grichuk, the former Cardinal, steps in the box to face his former teammate Michael Walker. Grichuk is 26 years old. He's from Rosenberg, Texas. He was a first-round draft pick of the Angels back in 2009. He was traded to the Cardinals for David Freese and Fernando Salas. Drills this one to center. Plenty of room out there for Pham. He has it, and Grichuk retired. One away. And Grichuk, you can bet he got a little extra motivation playing against his former team.
He and Aledmys Diaz, who is starting shortstop tonight for the Blue Jays, both in the Cardinal organization last season.
Kendrys Morales will step in. And you can see when we get a good look at Morales, he's sporting glasses. During the examinations this spring, it was detected that he might be in need of some glasses. He's tried them out this spring. On Saturday at Tampa against the Yankees, he wore them throughout batting practice, but then didn't wear them during the game. It looks like he's given them a try. These are clear, as you can see. On Saturday, he had prescription sunglasses that he wore.
That's got to be a bad feeling, going up there not being able to pick up the spin of the baseball. And if you're having some problems seeing the ball, I think all you have to look at is one of the Blue Jay young players, Danny Jansen, had some problems hitting. Went and had his eyes checked, got glasses, and what he hit last year, over 300.
Made it from A ball all the way up to AAA. Danny Jansen became a prospect overnight once he started wearing glasses. So Morales giving it a try. 2-1 pitch. Dribbled up the first baseline as Martinez steps on the bag. 2 quick outs here in the bottom half of the second.
Well, Michael Wacha, tonight's starter for the St. Louis Cardinals, he's tough. He battled some shoulder problems again in 2016. But he's a mainstay for this team. They got some bad news with Adam Wainwright going on the disabled list yesterday with some hamstring issues. So everybody's going to move up one spot in that starting rotation. What makes Wacha so tough is he keeps the ball down. He only gave up 17 home runs all of last season.
Kevin Pillar gaudy numbers this spring. 432 average for Pillar. It's 19 hits so far this spring. Batting down in the order, batting 7th tonight. Wacha delivers a strike. I think Pillar well suited to be down in this order. They've tried him top of the order. I think he probably tries to hit to the spot in the lineup a little bit too much instead of just being relaxed and making sure he gets a good pitch to hit, and he's done that all spring long.
Some of his best work has been down at the bottom of the lineup.
Drills that ball in the alley, and that's going to get down and go up against the wall. Pillar looking around, and he'll stop at second. He had thoughts of going to third, but Dexter Fowler played it in quickly once he got to it on the warning track in right center.
You know, a few seasons ago, Kevin Pillar might have tried to pull this pitch, but you can see him as he gets bigger and older and a little bit more experienced as a hitter. He knows this pitch is away. Watch how he stays right with it. Instead of trying to pull it, he keeps the hands inside the baseball, and that allows that bat
.31, 35, and last year career high 37. So he's in scoring position for Danny Espinosa. Blue Jays stranded a runner in the bottom of the first at second, and Espinosa loses the bat. Looks like it hit Solarte. That's not good. Notice Nicky Huffman, the head trainer now, tending to Solarte. Looked like it hit him right on the elbow. Well, they're smiling, so it can't be too bad.
See some of the people laughing. So
that's a good thing.
That's the good thing. Well, let's see. It was a cutter down and in, and Espinosa loses the bat. It looked like it bounced in front of the dugout.
Outside, it's a ball and a strike to Espinosa. Solarte himself laughing now. Here's a look at the bat as it goes down the right side. Hit on the warning track indeed, and then bounced into the dugout. Morales, he was smart enough to get out of the way. Same for Yadi Guerrero, for Vladimir Guerrero. Little cutter in on the hands. Solarte describing that bat hit the warning track and bounced up and hit him on the left elbow. Appears to be okay. One and two to Danny Espinosa with Pillar at second. Strike three called. Fastball on the outer edge. Walker leaves another base runner in scoring position. 3 strikeouts so far for the right-hander from St. Louis.
Presented by Honda. On Saturday, March 31st, the first 20,000 fans will receive this Justin Smoke bobblehead when the Blue Jays take on Giancarlo Stanton and the New York Yankees. Note the start time. It's a 4:07 p.m. start time. For tickets, you know where to go. Visit BlueJays.com. Buck.
Thank you very much, Hazel. Make sure you put that in your calendar. Come on out and get a Justin Smoke bobblehead. So Solarte is back at third base. No problem at all. He's got a big smile on his face. And so obviously he avoided suffering any kind of significant injury. And, you know, you make light of it like that. But Howard Johnson, a minor league coach for the Texas Rangers, was hit in the face by a line drive and suffered multiple facial fractures just under his left eye. So there are a lot of things going on in that dugout. It's going to keep your head up.
Just minding his own business. Got hit. The encouraging sign with Solarte was the first guy out of the dugout to start this inning. He even beat Marcus Stroman out onto the field.
Yeah, he was ready to go. Wanted to let everybody know he was okay. This is Paul DeJong, the shortstop. And Stroman delivers strike 2. It's 0-2. DeJong had quite a season a year ago, his rookie season. Hit 25 home runs and drove in 65 runs in just 108 games.
I think the emergence of DeJong as a shortstop afforded the chance for the Cardinals to let Diaz go. And that's why Aledmys Diaz is now with the Blue Jays.
It's kind of the same way that Diaz came on the scene a couple of years ago. He had 17 home runs, made the All-Star game. There's a fastball that comes back and catches the outside corner. Stroman with his third strikeout of the night. This time he does it with a fastball.
He's really using that changeup early in the count. And I think it's throwing off the timing of these Cardinal hitters. You can see he just can't pull the trigger because that fastball was the first one that he saw in the at-bat, in the sequence, and it was by him before he could let it go. Marcus is so tricky out on the mound. He'll hesitate, he'll speed pitch, he'll hesitate.
Got a lot of weapons.
Yeah, putting all of that aside, he's got great stuff. And that's one thing I wanted to see today after being down for a while. I wanted to see what his fastball looked like. I wanted to see what his breaking ball looked like. Because when you don't have the innings, you tend to get a little bit tired, or you can't finish pitches. He looks like he's in mid-season form right now.
Yeah, he sure does. And working with Russell Martin is a great opportunity to check all the boxes and make sure you're ready for the season. They're going to go outside with another fastball here. Ran up and in, but had enough on it to tie up Jerko. Jed Jerko, what a season he had 2 years ago for the Cardinals. Hit 30 home runs in just 128 games. followed it up with a 20 home run season last year.
They've got some power in this lineup. Jerko hit 20. You mentioned DeYoung with 25 last season. Molina chipped in with 18.
Breaking ball pulled in the hole. This is a test for Diaz. Long throw scooped by Smoke. Good glove at first. Nice throw for the shortstop Diaz, and that's a big question for the Blue Jays, especially with guys like Stroman, Sanchez, and Garcia on the mound. A lot of ground balls on the infield.
With so many ground ball pitchers, you got to have great inner defense. Diaz takes his time. I like how he was able to catch the ball and plant that right foot all in one motion. So that's all arm strength right there, and got it over there and just get it close to Smoke. He's going to pick it for you.
Number 9 hitter is the second baseman, Colton Wong. Another changeup. This one's a bit upstairs.
Marcus got on the side of that one just a little bit too much and couldn't keep it in the strike zone.
Two and 0. Wong hitting just .220 for the spring, 9 for 41. Stroman behind. One of the few times early in this ball game he's fallen behind. Probably a called strike, and Wong appeared to go around as well.
2-0 changeup from Marcus. Another little trick.
Another ground ball. Easy play for Smoke. Another easy inning for Stroman. 3 in the books. He's faced the minimum. Just 9. Give up a leadoff single and got a double play.
This program brought to you by Scott's Lawn Response 911, a 3-in-1 solution that rescues your lawn.
We want to remind you, Thursday it'll be a Honda home opener. Jay Happ will get the nod for the Blue Jays against Luis Severino. The coverage begins Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Pacific Time right here on Sportsnet, so make sure you join us. Lots going on, and everybody will be on board. All hands on deck for the Honda home opener on Thursday. Aledmus Diaz, the former Cardinal, goes after the first pitch. Diaz, 27 years old, played his last 2 seasons. In fact, his first 2 seasons in the majors with the Cardinals. Had a good rookie season. He was an all-star in 2016 when he pounded out 17 homers, and it drove in 65 runs.
Came out of nowhere to do that. I believe it was Johnny Peralta had some injury problems that paved the way for Diaz to get some playing time, and he took advantage of that. So much so that they got rid of Peralta. Diaz was the everyday shortstop.
Long drive, and that's going to hook foul into the seats down the left side. Diaz from Cuba. He played 5 seasons with Villa Clara in Cuba. in the Series Nacional in Cuba. Started as a 16-year-old in 2007. Good sinking fastball. Another strikeout for Walker. He likes Stroman on his game.
That's 4 through the first time through the lineup. 4 out of the 9 batters he has put down. He's thrown some high fastballs. He's got that little cutter down away. That looked like he took a little something off, like a change-up two-seamer, and it really had Diaz fooled, had him way out in front. I'm going to be real interested to watch how Walker pitches to Grichuk and to Diaz, former teammates. Maybe they know something about their former teammates, how to pitch to them.
There's a high break into ball to Granderson. He was a strikeout victim his first time up. No score, only 3 hits in the ball game. 1 for the Cardinals, 2 for the Blue Jays. Another breaking ball upstairs again.
I think we're at that part in spring training where you aren't going out there as a pitcher and experimenting with anything. I think you treat this like a regular season game for how long you're out there. The days in the hot sun down in Florida where I just want to work on my changeup and I throw a lot of changeups, or I want to work on my slider, that kind of stuff, I think those days are over with. Your arm strength is up there. Now it's time to pitch like it's a regular season game.
High pop-up. Backing out into the outfield. That's DeYoung, the shortstop. Granderson's retired on the pop-up. Well, Michael Walker came up to the big leagues in 2013, and during the regular season he made 9 starts. He went 4-1, but what a postseason he had. He set a major league rookie strikeout record for the most strikeouts in one postseason. He had 33 strikeouts and had a 4-1 record in the postseason for the Cardinals. He pitched some big ball games for them. He beat the Pirates in the division series. He was 2-0 against the Dodgers and matched up both times against Clayton Kershaw.
From college to the big leagues, Texas A&M. Big guy. I didn't realize how big Michael Walker is. Stands 6'5" on that mound. Eats up a lot of turf as he starts home.
A cutter inside, and Solarte had to bail out quickly. He said, I got hit with a bat, now they're throwing baseballs at me. Look out.
Pull those hands in. That's what I like to see, how he pulled them in and turned his back to protect himself.
Ball on the strike to the Blue Jays' third baseman. He goes around, chase that high heater. That's good sinking fastball. At the knees, running away from Solarte.
Yeah, and he's going upstairs a little bit more frequently than I remember from Walker with that fastball, and it really works well with his curveball. Right over the top with that curveball, and he gets a lot of spin on it.
Nice play at third by Carpenter. Long throw in time. Good defense by the third baseman. Walker gets support by Carpenter. That looked like extra bases. But a good play by Matt Carpenter ends the inning. We'll go to the fourth. Still no score in Montreal.
with MLB At Bat. The app will keep you connected every day with live radio calls, video highlights, stats, breaking news, and more. Download MLB At Bat now. It's your #1 Toronto Blue Jays app.
Thank you very much, Hazel. You can see there are fans of all ages here in Montreal, and Marcus Stroman and Michael Wacha, they are hooked up in a pitcher's duel here. End of spring training, both pitchers look like they are ready to start the regular season, and they should be. This is their last tune-up in the spring. Stroman has thrown 40 pitches, and we were told earlier that they expect him to throw upwards of 70, and that will be it. So far so good for Marcus Stroman. Dexter Fowler, the leadoff man.
You know, that's another advantage, I think, for playing in this 2-game series. You get on a plane, you go to a different city, you're in a big league ballpark. This feels like a big league experience. Marcus Stroman is showing it off.
Absolutely. Dexter Fowler with a 1-1 count. Breaking ball. We have talked about Montreal, and this is the 5th season the Blue Jays have come here to wrap up their spring training, and tonight again they honored former Expos, and we are pleased to be joined now by one of the best.
Oh,
one of the best. John Wetteland, a great closer. Boy, you had quite a run here. 105 saves in 3 seasons here, John, and you kind of came here on an unexpected route. Traded a couple of times in the offseason before you came to Montreal.
Yes, sir. It was a 3-team trade, and so it was all a whirlwind. At the time, I was playing in winter ball. That was a pretty good try. Time I was playing winter ball, and I got traded while I was winter ball, and so when I got traded twice in the span of half a day, they said, "We want you to come home." So I hopped on a plane and said, "Okay."
Montreal brought you home right away.
Yes, sir.
What was
yes,
a big leaguer doing playing winter ball of all things?
What? Well,
they used to do that.
Yeah, I mean, we really did. We you hone your craft there. You know, if there's a particular pitch that's keeping you from being successful in the major leagues or getting to the big leagues or anything like that, then you go down there and work on it for a couple of months, and you're going to be all right next year.
John, what was it about Montreal when you got here that turned your career around?
Oh, my goodness. Where to start with that?
Opportunity?
Absolutely. Okay. Kevin Kennedy came over here with me and Fletcher from the Dodgers, and Kennedy knew that one day I was going to be a major league closer. He managed me throughout my minor league. Mm-hmm. Okay.
With the Dodgers.
So he knew exactly what he was getting in this deal. And so he said, he always told me in the minor leagues, he said, if I go to another team, he goes, I want to manage in the big leagues. He goes, but if I go to another team, I'm bringing you with me, and you're going to be a closer in the big leagues. And so it happened here. I was 25 at the time. The only closing experience I had was AAA and a few games in Venezuela and whatever. And so I went through a rough patch there at the very beginning. Mm-hmm. Felipe even came out in the paper and said, you know, we're going to share the closing duties with Mil Rojas. And I deserved it. I wasn't good. And it's funny because he kept going to me. He didn't call on Mil to keep saving game. He kept calling me.
Kevin Kennedy.
No. Felipe.
Okay.
And so I asked him, I said, Felipe, you said we're going to share the, I said, I have no problem. You know, Mel, go ahead. Yeah, I'm a kid. You know, let me learn. And he goes, no. He goes, no, big guy. he goes, there was a reason why I said that. So I said, I understand. I understand.
The Alou family was a little bit like the Molina family when they thought baseball all the time. And Felipe, of course, had such a great run. You had great ball players all over the place when you got here in Montreal.
Oh,
and unfortunately, you had the strike in '94. But talk about the talent on that team, because there was talent everywhere.
And that's another thing. That, you know, I said I could start anywhere with what Montreal has meant to me in my career. The other part was the players that I got to play with. We were all kids. We didn't know really about Major League Baseball, winning, all that. We were competitive and we were incredibly talented. And it was people like Felipe and Joe Kerrigan that taught us our pitching staff how to read hitters, all these kinds of things. And we soaked it in. And we actually learned the game here, along with all the fans, along with the rest of the city. And they watched us grow up. And I think that that's a really cool way to look at it. We were kids, we were infants, and we grew up to become, in '94, shoot, they wrote an article in Sports Illustrated on us. All of a sudden, America was going, who are these people? You know, and so, yeah, it was an incredibly, probably the best, I would put it up as one of the best teams, if not the, ever.
I think so.
Ever.
When you look at the pitchers, the starting staff, the athletes you had on the field, the defense you could play.
A defense was unbelievable. Moises, grip, Larry Walker, you got arms with accuracy for days. You got legs out there. I was a strikeout fly ball guy, so I loved my outfielders.
Let me ask you this. There's a conversation about Larry Walker. Why doesn't he get more consideration as a Hall of Famer?
Wow.
You
That's
didn't think this
question.
was going to be that tough, did you?
Yeah. All of a sudden, I'm saying, screw you guys. I'm out of here.
Larry Walker.
That's a good question.
I mean, he could do everything. Hit for average, hit for power, great defender.
Steal a base. Who cares? Great arm.
Gold glove.
Yep.
Oh, absolutely. Terrific player.
You're right. That's a good question.
So what keeps you busy now? I know you grew up in the Bay Area in California. Where do you make your home now?
I live in Paradise, Texas, if you couldn't tell.
Well, Marcus Stroman has another good inning. John Wetteland, always a pleasure to see you, man. All the best. Thanks for your time.
Wonderful to be here. Thank you very much.
He's going to get another rousing reception here in Montreal. Russell had a hustle double his first time up.
The catcher, number 55, Russell Martin.
Russell, we mentioned he had a 2-out double his first time up. He was stranded at second base, and Walker delivers a first pitch strike. Both of these pitchers, Pat, they look like they're ready to start the season.
treating it like it's a regular season game. Walker's got a good fastball. You could see he beat Russell right there with that fastball. Couldn't get it out in front.
You know what I like about both of these starters? They're not concerned about pace of game. They are grabbing it and firing it.
I love that with pitchers. When they get it and they get into that rhythm, they work quickly. It just keeps everybody. The game just seems to be crisper.
It really keeps pressure on the hitter. I mean, if you see a pitcher like Walker, and the same for Stroma tonight, they're toeing the rubber, looking for a sign, anxious to throw that next pitch. To me, that sends a tremendous air of confidence. Breaking ball tapped right back to the mound. So Martin is retired on the comebacker to Walker. We mentioned Walker had that great postseason his rookie year in 2013. He joined Livan Hernandez and Mike Boddicker as the only rookies to win an LCS MVP award.
That's pretty impressive.
Livan Hernandez won it in '97 with the Marlins, and Boddicker won it in '83 with the Orioles.
I think he's going to have a big year this year for the Cardinals. Tell you why, he seems to be healthy. Remember, he battled some problems in 16. Last year he made 30 starts. But if you look inside of his numbers, his batting average on balls in play last year was over 300, 327. Tells you that maybe he ran into some bad luck, some bloops that were falling in, or some ground balls that were finding the hole. He's always been a good strike thrower, 2-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio last season, so he keeps the ball in play, and he doesn't have a lot of high pitch count type of games because he's pumping those balls in there. Strike one, strike two, keeping the pressure on the hitter. He averaged about a strikeout an inning last season.
And you mentioned that he's 26 years old. He'll turn 27 on the 1st of July. Working here to Justin Smoak.
Seems like he's been around forever, doesn't it? And I looked it up. He's 26 years old. I think he's just heading into his prime physically. He's got a great windup, doesn't he?
Yeah, and it's not an abbreviated windup. You can see he's really balanced, and he gets all his entire body into it, uses his legs very effectively.
There's not a lot of moving parts to his windup. It's very simple, straightforward.
He wanted that pitch. He missed down and away for ball four. First walk of the ball game. Smoak draws a 1-out walk. This is a little bit of an interesting point in the Blue Jays lineup as we look at Justin Smoak drawing the walk, and now Randall Grichuk is hitting behind him in the 5th spot. Last year it was Smoak and Morales more often than not back to back, and I think they're trying to split up both Smoak and Morales. Neither one of them run very well.
Yeah, split up the switch hitters. They're good RBI men, but John Gibbons was telling me today he's got Grichuk hitting between them right now, and I asked him why Randall Grichuk. He says he could run a little bit. That if Grichuk gets on in front of Morales, just the threat of a steal might buy some more fastballs for Morales. Makes a lot of sense.
Ripped past Luis Rivera. Well, he did a heck of a job of getting out of the way, and now that Cardinal dugout's going to give it to him. Hey, man, you move quick for an old man.
Hit the ball out that way.
Well, way to go, Louis. I tell you what, he is right in the middle of the action down there, and that's why those coaches wear the batting helmets all the time.
I tell you, it feels like you're sitting right on top of the batter, especially when there are runners on base. And he's got to get up that line a little bit to get a good view. I tell you end up about 50 feet from that batter.
0-2 to Grichuk, 1 out with Smoak at first. Another fastball. He fouls it back out of play.
Did you see the reaction from Walker after that pitch? Yachty wanted that ball up, and he's been very effective this game in elevating that fastball up, but he missed his spot. Gave too much of a target, too much of a ball to hit to Grichuk, and he was upset with himself.
Well, terrific leader, and you can see Molina kind of asking Walker what he wants to do. He's looking at the base runner at first. Inside. We spoke to Mike Matheny about the value of having Yadier Molina behind the plate. And he says, you know what? Even if he is beat up a little bit, his presence behind the plate is so important for what he does for our team. I'm going to keep him out there all the time.
And it's not just for the pitcher who's out there navigating him through these at-bats. He'll move the outfield if he feels like he needs to. He'll move the infield. Hey, your changeup's not working so well. Let's move the shortstop over in the hole just a little bit more against the right-hander. He said having him out there as his catcher every day means more to him mentally than what he brings to the game with the bat.
Changeup, and Grichuk is down on strikes. 5 strikeouts now for Michael Walker. 2 outs in the inning.
Well, if the fastball's not working or the curveball's not working, Walker can go to an off-speed pitch. That's a great changeup. Good arm action on that pitch really has Grichuk fooled.
I think it's really important, and you brought it up early in this show, how the players are getting the most out of this game, because it does feel like a regular season game. Both Grichuk and Walker battling toe-to-toe right there in that last at bat. Here's Kendrys Morales.
Almost to a man, the players were saying, just to get out of Florida. Okay, enough with the day games. You know, let's get into a big ballpark like this is. Let's get big league lights, play some night games, and just have a little change of pace and get that feel like we're going to have in the regular season.
It's one of the real challenges of spring training. Ball players have to change their inner clock. Play all day games in the spring, and then you get to the regular season, you play all night games.
Or you get that one odd night game in spring training. The body took 2 or 3 days to get used to it after playing all day games, and all of a sudden, hey, we're going to play a night game. Heck, when the game would start in spring training in the nighttime, I was ready to take a nap. It was 7 o'clock. So now the Blue Jays get a couple of days here in Montreal to play some night games, hop on a plane, head over to Toronto to start the season.
Morales fouls it back. Kendrys, now 35 years old. Actually, he'll turn 35 in June. He's 34. He too from Cuba. This is his 12th big league season. Started with the Angels in 2006.
I'm a little surprised that Martinez, the first baseman, is actually holding Smoke on at first base with the type of hitters at the plate.
Left-handed pull hitter with Smoke, who is not a threat to run.
Get a little bit more ground play behind the runner.
Base hit. Crossed up the shift as Morales slaps it to left field. A 2-out single for Kendrys Morales, the DH.
I want to see a little bit of more of this year, especially with 2 strikes. If they're going to shift and play 3 infielders on the right side, you get a pitch away. Don't try and pull it into the shift. Just go with it. This is an easy base hit. Slows down the swing just a little bit and just pokes at it. And he is rewarded with a base hit. Good piece of hitting right there.
That'll spread out the defense. You start slapping the ball to left field. That moves Smoke into scoring position at second. Interesting, as Molina kind of called a meeting as everybody to the mound. You can see he is holding court now. The catcher talking about situation here.
This is exactly what Mike Matheny was talking about right here. That's going to be one visit, but they made the most of it, didn't they? All the infielders in there talking about how they're going to pitch to Pilar, where he wants that infield to pitch, hoping that Pilar hit a ball right at him.
Well, the Blue Jays are 0 for 2 and hitting with runners in scoring position so far in this game. They stranded a runner in the first, stranded a runner in the second. Now they've got 2 aboard here in the fourth. Pilar, first pitch fastball in there for a strike. Blue Jays with 3 hits. No one has crossed home plate yet. Tough call, down and away. 0-2.
You know, Yadi Molina might have gone out there also to talk to everybody about, hey, what signs we're going to use. Got a runner at second base. They might change up the signs this time around.
Sharply hit, put foul by Pilar. Kevin picked up his 20th hit of the spring. A double to the alley in right center back in the second inning.
That's about as straight up as you can get. I think that shows that Pilar now, you know, you pitch him away, he's going to hit the ball away. You pitch him in, he's going to pull the ball. The infield is spread out. The outfield is straight away.
Hard breaking ball in the dirt, no problem for Molina. Keeps it right there at his feet at home plate. Well, you make a great point about Pilar hitting with the defense. I mean, that's as thin as it can be spread. Lots of holes out there for Kevin Pilar now.
I think that's the reputation I would want if I'm a hitter. Look at the holes that he can shoot for instead of having 3 infielders on one side of the diamond. He can go anywhere right now. Good take.
2-2. Kevin has 8 RBIs so far this spring, and Molina behind the plate trying to match wits with Kevin Pilar. Breaking ball, boy, he had a hanger there.
Yeah, one of the few times that Walker has missed with that curveball. And you can see Pilar upset with himself. And as a hitter, you know what you have to do now? It's 2-2. You got to erase that you just missed a hanging curveball. You got to erase that from your memory. You can't think about it. You got to think next pitch. I don't think he's going curveball again.
2-2 pitch. Got him to chase off the plate. Little cutter for the final out of the inning. Blue Jays stranded pair. No score after 4. Here in Montreal. Now time for a Blue Jays Central update. Here's Jamie Campbell and Joe Siddle.
Thank you, Buck. And just 2 innings ago, Joe was raving about Pilar's double based on a conversation you had with him in spring training.
Kevin talked about last year. He got off to a good start, but then he got away from himself and he reverted back to some of his bad habits. In spring training, he talked about staying up the middle and going the other way a little bit more and trying to stay disciplined with that approach. The second inning double is a perfect example of that. If Kevin can stay disciplined with that approach, he is a far better hitter. Not only that, but then you stay in the strike zone more often as well. He may not walk as much, but he'll be creating much better contact in the zone. That was a great example of it back in the second.
Thursday, they trade in the spring training jerseys for the real thing. It begins with opening day at the Rogers Center. The Yankees are in town. Jay Happ gets the start. Our coverage begins with Tim and Sid at 1 Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific time. Blue Jays Central begins an hour after that. Should be a great day as we take a break and send it back to Montreal right after this.
Of the playoffs. Can Toronto's Mitch Marner use home ice advantage to fend off Florida? Panthers, Leafs coming your way on Scotiabank Wednesday Night Hockey, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific time, right here on Sportsnet. Bye.
Thank you very much, Hazel. And good crowd on hand here in Montreal at the Olympic Stadium. You can see that fullback exposed jersey with that classic logo. Pitchers duel here in Montreal. No scores. We head to the top of the fifth. Marcus Stroman has thrown 70 pitches, and he has been terrific. 7 ground ball outs, 5 strikeouts, not an out registered in the air. That is Marcus Stroman, vintage Marcus Stroman indeed. No one has thrown more ground balls the last 2 seasons in the majors than Marcus Stroman.
Last inning, he got a called strikeout. He also got a swinging strikeout to Carpenter. Chances are he's getting close to that pitch limit.
I would imagine we'll see a pitching change mid-inning here in the 5th. Marcell Ozuna drills this one to left, high and deep. Granderson looking up. It's gone. Ozuna ambushed that first pitch and delivers the first run of the ball game with his 4th home run of the spring.
This is just what the doctor ordered for the St. Louis Cardinals. They were looking for a run producer in the middle of that lineup to make everybody else around him good. He drove in 124 runs last year, 3rd most in Major League Baseball, and this is going to show you why. Ball right out over the middle of the plate, and with that short swing, that's a line drive that travels about 400 feet. Not a lot of wasted motion in that swing. Ozuna with another home run.
Cardinals haven't had a hitter past 35 home runs in a season since Albert Pujols. So they're hopeful that Ozuna can fill that void. Ozuna had a terrific season last year, .312, a .376 on base percentage, and he slugged .548.
That year you were talking about says the last time the Cardinals had above average OPS, on base plus slugging, from the number 3 or 4 spot in the lineup, you have to go back to 2013. You don't think this team needed somebody with a threat in the middle of their lineup? There was talk a lot in spring training, or excuse me, this summer, about Giancarlo Stanton coming to the St. Louis Cardinals. But they couldn't work out a trade, so they settled for the next best guy in that Miami Marlins outfield.
Just went around the outfield and picked up number 2. Certainly playing as number 1 here in St. Louis. There's a good slider off the plate as Jose Martinez chases it. Mentioned Stroman had 7 ground ball outs and 5 strikeouts before Ozuna is able to lift that pitch in the air and drive it out of the ballpark. There's a base hit to right field. That ball stayed up a bit. Martinez goes the other way. Just the 3rd hit for the Cardinals against Marcus Stroman. Danny Barnes loosening up, and this is part of the plan. You see Loop as well. Loop appears to be ready should they decide to use the lefty. Depend on the batter in this situation, obviously.
Well, the thing with Marcus, he's always got that ground ball in his back pocket, even though he gives up that single with nobody out.
Marcus now at 65 pitches as the pinch runner comes in. Playing hit and run as that ball is fouled into the seats.
Well, Mike Matheny knows all about Marcus Stroman and his ability to throw ground balls, so that pinch runner taking off on the hit and run.
Randy Arozarena is the pinch runner at first, and Molina, he can certainly handle the bat, so this is a good hit and run situation. Stroman got a double play back in the first off the bat of Tommy Pham. There's a drive to the outfield. Pillar's got a beat on it, no problem, as Molina flies out. One away here in the 5th. Mentioned Stroman with 34 ground balls turned last year. That's the second most ever in Blue Jays franchise history. Dave Steve was on the mound when the Blue Jays turned 35 double plays back in 1980.
And Marcus started a bunch of those all by himself.
First pitch strike to the shortstop, Paul DeJong. He was called out on strikes back in the third. Down and away. One nothing St. Louis. Popped into the seats. Mentioned DeJong, he had 38 home runs overall. He had 13 in the minor leagues before he was called up last year to the Cardinals.
He's got a nice swing. Short, not a lot of extra movement.
A good block by Martin. Russell has talked a lot about catching this spring. He's in great shape. I think he feels good. He got a lot of energy behind the plate, but watch how he catches this ball.
Change up down in the dirt. A little bit different than the one last inning when Molina blocked a curveball in the dirt, just trying to smother it. It looked like he was trying to catch that one with a little bit more speed at first.
There goes the runner. Fouled off. Russell played a lot of infield early on in his career, and he suggests that that's why he'll catch a lot of those balls on the short hop instead of going down and blocking. He's got great hands. And especially if there's a runner at first base that might be inclined to take off when that ball's in the dirt, Russell much more comfortable catching that ball than going by the textbook and blocking it.
Probably Marcus' last batter.
Breaking ball up and in. Full count now, one out. You didn't expect the runner at first.
He'll be taken off on this pitch. Marcus couldn't finish off that breaking ball right there. Left it up in the strike zone.
Rosarena at first. There he goes. Cut on and missed. Throw to second into center field. Danny Espinosa stationed himself right in the base path trying to knock that ball down. It was tailing on Martin. In fact, the ball might have hit the dirt before Russell caught it. Rosarena ends up at second with a stolen base, and Pete Walker looks like he's going to make a pitching change here.
Confidence with that breaking ball to get the strikeout. How about the play from Russell? He backhands the ball on the short hop, but just couldn't get enough on that throw as it sails into center field. Good night for Marcus Stroman.
Terrific night for Stroman. Danny Barnes will take over. Marcus Stroman leaves with 6 strikeouts. A terrific outing, and he appreciates the support here in Montreal.
Medicine.
He throws a total of 75 pitches, 30 balls, 45 strikes, and just 1 run on 3 hits. A terrific outing for Stroman. Now he turns things over to Danny Barnes.
8 innings, 8 hits, 4 of those home runs this spring for Barnes, and something that the Blue Jays are going to be doing. And we'll watch this, especially early in the season, with their bullpen. Barnes get through this inning and then come back.
Runner takes off for third as Randy Arozarena steals third base. He stole second base on a tough pitch. Martin scooped it on the short hop. Really had no chance to throw him out at second. What a start he gets at second base.
You better be 100% sure you're going to steal this base, because if you get thrown out, Mike Matheny's going to be upset. But he had the big lead. The middle infield was back because they were trying to knock the ball down. Might put a little bit more pressure on the infield now with that runner at third base or the catcher to try and block anything in the dirt. But to finish up that thought with Barnes, it's, let's see you get through this inning and then give me one more. In the past it was, okay, get me through this inning and you're done.
Just over the outstretched glove of Danny Espinosa into right. Jed Jerko with an RBI single cashes in the runner from third. Arozarena scores from third, and the Cardinals have a 2-0 lead.
Looked like a fastball from Barnes. Danny's been trying to work on that slider to incorporate that in his combination fastball changeup. Jerko, the veteran hitter who had a good year last year for this team, drove in 67 runs with 20 home runs. Shortens up just a little bit on that fastball up and away.
Well, they manufactured that run. A couple of stolen bases put the runner at third base for Jed Jerko. Danny Barnes gives up the run. That'll be charged to Stroman. Colton Wong takes a changeup, and there's a delayed steal, and the Blue Jays are caught flat-footed. Jerko pulls off the delayed steal perfectly. And the Cardinals are playing Cardinal baseball.
Yeah. There's 1, 2, 3, and then you take off, and you're hoping that the infielders put their heads down, or the catcher doesn't hear that runner takes off. Executed perfectly by the Cardinals to get another runner into scoring position.
Long swings right through it. Take a look at the way Jerko got his lead at first. It's classic.
Yeah, you're taught you have 3 hops. 1, 2, 3, and then right there you catch the catcher catching the ball and not coming out, and the infielder's just hesitating, just pausing for a second. It allows him to get into scoring position.
2-1 outside, and now Russell said, you know what, I've had enough of this.
Yeah.
Thought about picking off Jerko at second. You're right, and a catcher, and we saw Molina do it early in this ball game, they'll take a peek at that runner just before the pitcher delivers the ball, and he's not running. And then the delay steal leadoff is terrific. Jerko did it perfectly.
You'll also hear the first baseman say, there he goes. But as a first baseman, as you come off the bag and you glance to see if he's running, you just see him take his secondary lead. You're not saying anything. That's where the bench has got to help out. Everybody from the bench has got to yell and say, delay steal.
Full count, 2 outs. Jerko at second for Colton Wong. Called strike 3. Danny Barnes strikes out Colton Wong, but the Cardinals scored 2. Ozuna with a long home run. Jed Jerko with an RBI single. 2-0 St. Louis.
New day this year, same great program. Special price kids tickets in the 200 level outfield and 500 level. And after the game, kids 14 and under can run the bases just like the pros. BlueJays.com is where to go for tickets.
New pitcher for the Cardinals is Matt Bowman. Last year in 75 games, had an ERA just under 4 and held the opponents to a .239 opponent's batting average.
He will take over on the mound for Michael Wacha. Michael Wacha was outstanding tonight. Bowman, not a real big guy, listed at 6 feet, 175 pounds. He was originally a draft pick by the Mets from Chevy Chase, Maryland. Good fastball, good curveball from Bowman. Fastball's about 90-94. He's also got a splitter. So he will take over for Wacha, who was very good in his 4 innings tonight.
Bowman, like Danny Barnes, pitched at Princeton. A couple of Ivy Leaguers now on the mound for the Cardinals and the Blue Jays here. Teammates with Princeton, as you mentioned, he's from Chevy Chase, Maryland. Overall, 5-11 for his big league career. He's appeared in 134 games for the Cardinals.
Generates a lot of arm speed, turns his back just a little bit from those hitters.
Breaking ball pulled foul by Danny Espinosa, the Blue Jays second baseman.
Doesn't he look a little bit like Tim Lincecum? I mean, in his face, and then in his windup also. The way he really has a quick arm.
Lincecum trying to make a comeback with the Rangers. Fastball, and Espinosa strikes out. Marcus Stroman in his final tune-up of the spring schedule was terrific. Stroman going 4 2/3. He threw 75 pitches, and he was really locked in early. The only blemish came on a first pitch home run by Marcell Ozuna leading off the 5th, and then after he left, Jed Jerko had an RBI. Single to right, so 2 runs are charged to Stroman, but he was great tonight.
Yeah, just his 3rd outing of the spring, so he's a little bit behind the guys. The ball's hit on the ground.
Diaz goes after the first pitch breaking ball and grounds out to 3rd.
But Marcus a little bit behind everybody else because he had to be shut down for a little bit because of the shoulder problems. But he's right on track. He's scheduled to pitch Sunday against the Yankees.
Saw Greg Garcia make that play at 3rd base. He is taking over for Matt Carpenter at 3rd for St. Louis. So back to the top of the order for the Blue Jays. Curtis Granderson so far 0 for 2 with a strikeout. Well, you're right. He cocks his head to the side, much like Tim Lincecum Bowman does. And not a physically big guy, but puts a lot of spin on that breaking ball.
Throws that left arm up there to hide the ball just a little bit. He'll throw that split just about 25% of the time. So you might have to look for it with 2 strikes.
Bottom of the 5th inning, St. Louis has scored 2 runs in the top half of this inning, take a 2-0 lead. Fly ball to left. Ozuna coming in, and he makes the grab. Good inning for Matt Bowman. 3 up, 3 down, no problem. We'll go to the 6th. The Cardinals lead it 2-0. And Loops had a good spring. He is penciled in to be the first lefty out of the Blue Jays bullpen.
And from what we hear, maybe the only lefty out of the bullpen for the Blue Jays right now. There's some talk of 6 righties and 1 lefty, but Aaron's had a good spring in 7 games. He's had 10 strikeouts and just 1 walk. His fastball's been better. His changeup's always going to be there. He'll get the start here in the 6th inning. A couple other changes for the Blue Jays.
Bo Bichette takes over at shortstop for Aledmus Diaz. In right field, it's Teoscar Hernandez. He takes over in right for Randall Grichuk. Roman Fields is in center field now. Kevin Pillar is out of the game. Pillar finishes up with a double, and Steve Pearce takes over for Curtis Granderson in left. Now we continue to have more changes. This is Adolis Garcia batting for Dexter Fowler in the cleanup spot.
Well, one thing that Pete Walker wanted to let us know before the ball game is Aaron Loop's throwing the ball really well. His fastball's been good. He's been throwing a lot of strikes, and that's one thing about a Pete Walker pitching staff is they'll throw strikes. I think from top to bottom they've been great this spring, pounding the strike zone.
Indeed they have. They have really pounded the strike zone, been very aggressive, and that has allowed them to have a good spring throwing the ball. You think about the pitching staff, and it's one that's not going to have an awful lot of strikeouts in their stat sheet, but if you pitch ahead, chances are you'll get a lot more weak contact.
That's where I think defense is going to be a vital part of what the Blue Jays do this year. For that reason right there, they don't have a Clayton Kershaw that can rack up 10 strikeouts in a game, or a Max Scherzer who can go for 12 or 14. For the most part, they're going to put the ball in play.
So Luke gets a strikeout to start his outing, and we're pleased to be joined now from the Blue Jays dugout, the right fielder that started this game, Randall Grichuk. Randall, thanks for your time. So how's it gone for you the last few days since you're back in the lineup?
It's going good. You know, trying to get the body right, feeling good for the season. Unfortunately, missed a bunch of time, but it feels good. So I'm looking forward to Thursday.
What happened? Why were you out? I know we read about the problems. What exactly happened?
I had a little slight oblique strain, so luckily we caught it early, and you know, we're able to only miss a handful of days instead of you know, weeks or months.
Randall, in your first spring with the Blue Jays, I watched you. You were very engaged in all the outfield drills. It seems like you really become part of this team very quickly. How has that adjustment gone for you?
I feel like it's gone great. You know, the guys here are awesome. You know, they welcome me very easily. Felt like I've been here for years just after this one spring training, and the staff's really great, easy to work with, and you know, have a lot of knowledge, and it's been fun working with them and getting to know the players.
Switching leagues back to the American League. You started with the Angels, you went to St. Louis, now back to the American League. Do you have to put in some extra homework to familiarize yourself with the league again?
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be interesting seeing some pitchers for the first time. Luckily, we got to play the AL East last year, so I saw some of the arms that we'll be seeing this year. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting first few series playing teams. But you know, I feel good with where I'm at right now. So you know, I'm looking forward to it.
You've got some good memories of Rogers Center. Take us back to 2014 when you hit your first big league home run there.
Yeah, first big league home run. One of the memories that I will always remember, and hopefully we make more this year. But yeah, it's off of Mark Burley, and definitely I got that ball sitting in my room, and a special moment for me and my family.
When you think about the upcoming season, you know, everybody's quick to write off the Blue Jays to say it's a two-team race in the American League East. What's your take on this ball club, having seen them play all spring?
I love it. I mean, they're kind of giving us no credit, and you know, we got a great group of guys from the standpoint of mentally and just team camaraderie, and then talent-wise, it's there, obviously. So I'm excited. I think we're going to sneak up on a lot of people and prove a lot of people wrong.
How do you keep yourself occupied out in right field when Marcus Stroman is pitching?
Yeah, that was a pretty easy day for me out there. I got to think a lot about my at-bats and not do too much. Yeah, he looked good out there. He kept him off balance. Yeah, that's the Marcus Stroman that I know and have seen throughout his career. Excited to see that.
Speaking of at-bats, where do you think you're going to hit in the lineup? Has Gibby said something about, well, we want to take advantage of your speed, we want to take advantage of your power? Are you going to hit? Has he talked to you about that at all?
No, we haven't had that discussion. I think that's kind of one of those things that on Thursday we'll find out. Yeah, that's kind of one that's up in there. Obviously, we've been able to see, from today, maybe 5, 6, 7, somewhere around there. But who knows? We'll see on Thursday.
Is there one spot in the order that you feel more comfortable? Do you envision yourself more as?
Not really. Honestly, we don't have the pitcher hitting in the AL, so we're able to eliminate that kind of 8-hole pitch around type scenario. So, anywhere in the lineup is good to me. As long as I'm out there, I'm happy.
One out with runners at first and second here. Luke gets a foul ball. And what's it like playing against your former team? You spent 4 years with the Cardinals and had some good seasons. You must have had a chance to catch up with some friends over there.
Oh yeah, it's definitely good to be able to see them and catch up with them and wish them good luck this season. Have a lot of good memories over there and a lot of good friendships and relationships that will last forever. So it's good to see them.
Randa, we appreciate your time. Welcome to the Blue Jays, and we look forward to a great season, and good luck on the opener on Thursday.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, guys.
Great to have you. Randall Grichuk, the Blue Jays right fielder, and he's going to fit nicely into this lineup. Very athletic right fielder, got some pop in his bat.
They were able to trade a minor league pitcher to get an young everyday player, 26 years old, who's played in the major leagues, who has had success in the major leagues. He had 22 bombs last year for St. Louis, 23 home runs. I think that's really going to play in the American League East, especially Rogers Center. How many times have we seen players come over from other leagues, put on a Blue Jays uniform, and all of a sudden their stats get bigger and better?
Well, and that's why I brought up his first home run. He hit it off of Mark Burley, his first big league home run while he was with the Angels, and the same happened with Josh Donaldson. He hit his first big league home run at Rogers Center, and then we know what's happened to Josh Donaldson since he was traded to the Blue Jays. Hopefully that'll be the same path for Randall Grichuk. Grichuk was acquired in January for Connor Green and Dominic Leone. Leone will be part of their bullpen.
Yep.
And yeah, he had a great year last year, but you're right. When you can get a 26-year-old everyday right fielder, you give up an unknown entity in Connor Green and a relief pitcher in Dominic Leone, I think you got to make that trade every day of the week.
Yeah, for a guy who's done it at the major league level, I think that's the key. There's one thing to go get a 26-year-old, good pitch right there from Aaron as he picks up the strikeout. But it's one thing to pick up a 26-year-old who hasn't played in the major leagues. It's another thing to get a 26-year-old everyday player who's had success at the major league level. And as a part-time player last year, he hit 22 home runs for that team.
He had 24 home runs in 2016. He's got 66 career home runs in 4 seasons in the big leagues with St. Louis. This is Randy Arozarena, who came in as a pinch runner, had a couple of stolen bases, and scored the second Cardinal run back in the 5th inning. It gets the foul out of play. 2 outs. We're in the top of the 6th inning. Cardinals have runners at first and second. Yeah, Randall Grichuk, I think he's going to enjoy his time. And the one thing about Grichuk is I think he's going to get plenty of opportunities. Early on, Ross Atkins talked about seeing Grichuk play every day, and he had a lot of high expectations for what he will be able to do playing every day for the Blue Jays.
He's a good defender. I had a chance to watch him in spring training. He gets good jumps on the ball in the outfield. He's got an accurate arm. It's a strong arm. It's accurate. He covers a lot of ground in the outfield.
Randall played a lot of center field for the Cardinals. Pulled on the ground. Bichette flips to second, almost late at second, but they're able to end the inning. The base runner ran right through the base. Espinosa wasn't too pleased about that. But Bichette gets the play to end the inning for Aaron Loup.
Presented by Honda. You can count on us to get home safe. Honda, official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays and proud fan since 1977.
We are in Montreal. The Cardinals have a 2-0 lead as we head to the bottom of the 6th. And there's a familiar face to a lot of you Blue Jay fans, Brett Cecil, in his 2nd season with the Cardinals after 8 years in a Blue Jays uniform.
Signed that free agent contract before last season, 2017. There are his numbers: 388, 267 opponent's batting average. He got into those 73 games, but only 67 in a 3rd inning. Gave up 66 hits. Still has that good fastball, overhand curveball. That's one of the areas where the Cardinals wanted to try to improve over the last couple of seasons is their bullpen. Now they got a couple of ex-Blue Jays in it, and Dominic Leone and Brett Cecil.
Cecil was an all-star working out of the bullpen in 2013. You remember he and Steve Delabar, both pitching out of the bullpen, made the all-star team. He had a 5-1 record pitching for the Blue Jays out of the pen with a 282 earned run average. Of course, he had a 15-win season in 2010 as a starter. He went 15-7 in 28 starts for the Blue Jays in 2010.
Yeah, his transition to the bullpen has gone on great. That was after the 2011 season when he went to the bullpen, and he's had a great career.
Now here's Solarte, a switch hitter, turns around about right-handed for the first time. He was robbed of a base hit back in the 3rd on a nifty play by Matt Carpenter.
He's been swinging the bat a lot better lately. Had 4 hits the other day in a ball game. First time up, he hit one right on the button, right at the 3rd baseman. If you remember that one, Carpenter, a little bit easier play. And then the one that you just mentioned when he was robbed by Carpenter back in the 3rd inning. So it looks like he's rounding into form.
Good off-speed pitch as Solarte chases it. Francisco Pena has been told he's going to be the backup catcher for the Cardinals. He might not get a lot of work. Bouncing ball to 3rd. A 2-hopper for Greg Garcia. He loads in a hurry. Well, there are a lot of catchers involved in St. Louis, and it's something you don't see very often. Look who's warming up Brett Cecil as he comes into this ball game between innings. Number 22.
Yeah, that's the manager of the St. Louis Cardinals, the former Gold Glover, Mike Matheny. Looks like he can still received the baseball.
He's 47 years old. He threw a round of batting practice today, and while Pena was getting his gear on, Mike Matheny came out. That first couple of pitches from Brett Cecil.
That's something you don't see very often at the major leagues. Now, there's a ton of catchers or ex-catchers who are now managers. A ton of them. They make the best managers. But you don't see them come out to warm up the new pitcher.
No, I don't think you'll see Mike Scioscia or John Gibbons doing that. Matheny played in 57 games with the Blue Jays in 1999. Then they released him, and he went on to win 4 Gold Gloves in St. Louis. And as Pat mentioned earlier, Matheny was the last opening day catcher to catch for the Cardinals, not named Molina. Mike started out in the Brewers system, got to the big leagues in 1994 with Milwaukee, but really blossomed once he got to St. Louis.
Fans didn't like that call to the hometown hero right there. Thought that ball might have been away. So instead of 3-1, Russell's got to hit 2-2.
Upstairs. Three and two, 1 out. Bottom of the 6th, the Blue Jays trail 2-0. Russell Martin has doubled and grounded out. And now he strikes out. Good curveball from Brett Cecil.
I think that's the pitch that made Brett Cecil the all-star right there. It's a spike curve. You can see it in his glove from our center field camera. He puts that index finger like a spike on top of it. Really gets a lot of torque with that middle finger, and he throws it 3-2. A lot of confidence in that overhand curveball.
Justin Smoke, a switch hitter. Turns around and bats right-handed. He has gone 0 for 1 with a walk. You know, this has got to be a real challenge for hitters like Smoke, switch hitters in spring training, trying to get their timing down, and now you've got to split time between 2 swings. A couple at bats right-handed, a couple at bats left-handed, and it's got to be a real challenge to try to get your timing down.
I think a lot of it has to go with feel. How are you feeling from the left side? Maybe you don't take as many swings from the left side if you're not feeling right or correct from the right-hand side. Smoke will do the majority of his swinging from the left side because there's so many more right-handed pitchers.
Popped up over near the dugout and over the dugout out of play.
Didn't have to worry about that. I had trouble hitting from the right side. I can't imagine having to do it from the left side.
Really?
Also.
Could you imagine 2 bad swings? Smoke had a terrific season a year ago, and he's just one of those guys that takes a while for the timing to come around. Some of it has to do with the fact that he's working on 2 strokes. 3-1. Cecil now with a 3-2 count.
Last year from the right side showed a good batter's eye. It had a higher batting average with a little bit more pop from the right side. What an advantage to have an everyday player who can switch hit and hit for power.
Takes ball 4. Last year, batting against lefty pitching, he hit .331. He walks for a second time tonight. A 2-out walk issued by Brett Cecil. So Smoke, he will give way to the pinch runner. Jason Leblevizian takes over at first base, and he's gotten a lot of action this spring, appearing in his 25th game this spring. So Smokey ends up 0 for 1 with a couple of walks. Leblevizian takes over at first. Here's Steve Pearce. He'll get his first AB of the night. goes after that first pitch.
You know, this is good practice right here, if you will, for Steve Pearce. This might happen a lot during the game, or excuse me, during the season, where Curtis Granderson starts the game. They go to the bullpen, bring in the left-hander, and you got to be ready to hit in the middle of the ball game, in a tight game.
Michael Walker started. He was terrific through his 4 innings of work. Matt Bowman pitched a clean 5th inning, and now Brett Cecil with 2 outs and a man at first here in the 6th. St. Louis leads it 2-0. 2 runs on 5 hits. The Blue Jays have no runs on just 3 hits. Ripped at the third baseman. Garcia makes a terrific play. A couple of good plays in the field for the third baseman. And Matt Carpenter early now. Greg Garcia.
Jr. in the ball game. He's at third base. You see there Bo Bichette still at shortstop. Now Marcus Stroman has referred to these two as, quote, legends that you've never seen. But bench coach DeMarlo Hale wants to temper expectations a little bit surrounding these highly touted prospects. Hale said they've yet to play AA, they've yet to play AAA, so they still need to succeed at those levels. As we hear a round of applause for Guerrero Jr., I'm going to lay out Buck and send it back to you.
Indeed, you can see the fans recognizing that Vladdy Guerrero Jr. has taken over at third base. They just had his picture up on the scoreboard. You can see he's trying to suppress that smile, but it's going to come out naturally. Got to be a thrill for him. He's been on this field before, but it was a long time ago.
Yeah, when he was a little kid coming to the ballpark with his father, he's wearing his father's number. Also, I don't know if you had a chance to notice that, that familiar number 27, and there it goes.
Jr.
Terrific moment for a young man. His father, the Hall of Famer. Such a wonderful player here for so many years. Ryan Tepera is the new pitcher into the ball game for the Blue Jays.
There, the spring numbers for Tepera, they don't look very good, but if you're a baseball guy, you don't go on what you see in spring training. You go on what you saw last year from Tepera when it counted, and Ryan had a great year.
Francisco Pena pops out to the right fielder. Hernandez one away. Vladdy Guerrero Sr. played with the Expos from '96 to 2003. He was a terrific player. 8 seasons. Over those 8 seasons, he had .323 with 234 home runs while playing in an Expos uniform. One of the great sluggers of all time. He had 126 home runs in this ballpark. And he hit tough pitching. He hit 6 home runs against Curt Schilling and 6 home runs against Kevin Millwood. A couple of tough right-handers. Ball downstairs, and now we're pleased to be joined by Russell Martin. And Russell, it must never get old to come home to Montreal, eh?
It's always a pleasure. Brings back memories. Back when I was a kid, coming to the park with my dad and watching some games. It's special.
Ground ball up the middle for a base hit for Max Schrock. Russell, you and I have been around the game a long time. Have you ever seen a defensive replacement get a standing ovation?
Not like that. That's pretty special right there.
Well, you know what his father meant to this town for so long. Vladdy Guerrero, the Hall of Famer, a terrific player for a long time here.
Absolutely. I mean, what an exciting player to watch.
Was that one of the heroes that you used to watch when you would come to the ballpark?
Absolutely. I mean, he was unbelievable. Cannon for an arm in the outfield. He did some things that you'd never see.
Do you see similarities from father to son?
Well, his kid looks just as strong as he did, but I've heard that he's got a different approach at the plate. He's got better plate discipline, a little bit more of a professional type hitter. Vladdy was a free swinger, and he could hit, just about anything. But I think his kid is a little bit more disciplined, has a better idea of what the strike zone is, but same type of power and
bat speed.
Danger, bat speed, exactly.
Oh my goodness,
unbelievable.
Russell, you had a chance to see Marcus Stroman. He was vintage Marcus Stroman from my perspective. How about yours?
Oh, he was good. Just, everything just electric. The fastball had good movement. Really just made one mistake and paid the price for it. But overall, it was just, in complete control of the game, messing with guys' timing out there, quick pitching, hesitation. Good command of the fastball, sharpness on the breaking balls, and really like how the changeup's coming along too. I think it's going to be an effective pitch for him.
That's what I was going to ask. Was there an effort to try and work the changeup in a little bit more tonight? I don't recall him throwing this many.
Yeah, it's just become a really nice pitch for him, and we're starting to use it more against righties and lefties. Type of pitch that you can. Just in combination with using the fastball and the changeup, they really play off each other nicely. And we talked a little bit before the game, the least amount of breaking balls that you can give a guy in that bat, when you do throw it, it's really tough to hit if you haven't seen one in the at-bat, and especially when it has, that sharpness to it. And that's kind of what we talked about. If we can limit the breaking balls and just kind of use that for put away, not all the time, but in theory. So I think that's going to play nicely for him.
Russell, that is such a great point, because oftentimes when a pitcher has a breaking ball as good as Marcus, they have a tendency to want to throw it all the time. But if you can save it for those pivotal pitches during tough at-bats, isn't that exactly what you want as a catcher?
Absolutely. I mean, if you have 2 at-bats against a guy, haven't seen his breaking ball yet, you're not comfortable knowing that it's in his back pocket. And if you save it for the right time, it can just be, get you out of a situation. And I mean, he's got so many weapons that he has the ability to do that. I wouldn't say everybody can do that, but with Marcus Stroman, he definitely has that ability because most of his pitches are, plus pitches.
I noticed him using the two-seam fastball on the outside corner to righties tonight. Is that something that you want to try to expand on?
If you can command the outside part of the plate, it just, most guys, don't have that much power when you're really hitting that spot out there. And then when you do need to go inside, it's wide open, get a weak ground ball for a double play or something like that. So, I feel like most of his pitches work off that fastball away. You want the slider to kind of start in that fastball away lane. And you kind of just go from there. But if you have that command and you establish that outside corner, it definitely helps out.
Russell, let's talk about yourself. You look like you feel good. You got a bounce in your step. You had a couple of home runs this year. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. My legs feel good, better than a long time. And overall body, mind, everything feels good, ready to go. Excited for this year.
How about that first at bat when you singled to left field, but noticed that fan was staying back? You made it easily.
Yeah, well, it just looked like he kind of just played it a little bit lazy and had a pretty good. It was one of those pitches where I'm kind of leaning out in front, hitting it, so I had a pretty good jump out the box, and the way that he looked pretty deep out there too. So I just felt like it was a good time to be aggressive, get in scoring position, and it worked out.
Russell, we talked to Randall Grichuk about how everybody's ready to concede that the AL East is a two-team race. How do you feel about the Blue Jays as you look forward to Thursday in the opener against New York?
Well, I mean, the last couple of times we were the underdogs, we fared pretty well. So I like our chances. I mean, this game is, you don't win it on paper. You got to go out there and you got to get it done. So I definitely feel like we have what it takes to compete against those teams. And it's just anything can happen, like every team, they can be 1 or 2 injuries away and it can really change a whole team's perspective and how they go about their business. So if we stay healthy, I like our chances.
And you have the best seat in the house because the strength of this team is on its pitching staff. You've had a chance to watch in the spring. How do they look?
Awesome. I like our depth. It just feels like we just have a tremendous amount of arms in the bullpen. And that definitely helps out. You don't have to overuse anybody. Everybody stays fresh. Keep guys on the field that way. And we have depth in the starting rotation as well. Getting Sanchez back is going to be, it's like signing one of the best free agents out there, getting him back. You get Stroman, Sanchez, Happ. We don't talk about Happ enough. I feel like this guy is, every time he takes the ball, you feel like you got a chance to win. And Jaime, and I mean, it's just Estrada as well. Exactly. You get Estrada. You can't forget about Marco. He's an all-star last year. You know what I mean?
I wasn't going to let you forget about him.
It's a pretty good rotation indeed. A lot of different looks too, and I think that's important. But Russell, we just hope it's going to be a great season for you, and if it is, it's going to be a good season for the Blue Jays. We wish you nothing but the best, and thanks for your time here tonight.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Take care.
All right, Russell. Russell Martin, and you heard his thoughts about this ball club. If the pitchers can stay out there and make their regular turns in the rotation, there's maybe going to be some surprises in the East. Ryan Tepera with 2 outs misses inside to Adolis Garcia.
I like what he said about the depth of the team, where especially in the bullpen, where you can keep guys fresh. When you start running guys out there 2, 3, 4 times in a row, they're going to run out of gas. They've got enough depth now in that bullpen that they can keep guys fresh.
Two balls and 2 strikes. Tepera trying to get out of the top half of the 7th inning.
I like that they put that pickoff play on with Matt Schrock at second base. He's been getting a huge secondary lead.
Yeah, you got to shorten him up a little bit, especially with 2 outs. Should there be a base hit, you have a better chance of throwing him out. Espinosa shadowing him at second. Inside. Now he'll get a running start. It's a full count.
That's Luke Maley behind the plate now, running the show, reminding the base runners that on a 3-2 pitch with 2 outs, they'll be taking off, and the play is over to first base.
Garcia at the plate. Schrock at second. Jerko at first. Ryan Tepera is set. There go the runners. Strike 3 call. Tepera looked like he threw him an inside cutter. He's able to get the strikeout and end the top half of the second. The Cardinals leave a pair. Vladdy Guerrero going to come to the plate here in Montreal. The first 25,000 fans of legal drinking age receive a free Budweiser home run synced glass. Lots of blue flashing lights in the crowd. And whether you're at the game or at home watching the Blue Jays, fans can celebrate home runs all season long. Starting in April, fans can get their own glasses in specially marked cases of Budweiser. And they have certainly turned out tonight. The blue flashing lights of Budweiser. And it's appropriate, of course, Budweiser, St. Louis. The old Busch Stadium. Augie Busch owned the ball club for so many years, and now they have made a pitching change. Mike Myers, the right-hander, will take over.
There are his numbers in 31 games last year in AAA. Memphis, he did get into 3 games with the Cardinals last year. He's a hard-throwing relief pitcher. In fact, he's had 7 games in the big leagues over the last couple of seasons. Big fastball that reaches 97 miles an hour. So he's above average with that. He can sink it just a little bit. Another one of those arms that come out of the bullpen throwing nothing but petrol.
First pitch is in there for a strike to Kendrys Morales. Morales 1 for 2. He had an opposite field single back in the 4th inning. You can see Morales, if you're just joining us, he is wearing glasses. He was trying those out during spring training. Breaking ball off the plate outside. It's 3 balls and a strike to Kendrys Morales, leading off the bottom of the 7th. Morales in his 2nd season with the Blue Jays. In the offseason, he disappointed with his first season with the Blue Jays. Dropped some weight, dropped about 12 pounds. Feels a lot better, and he takes ball 4. Well, we want to congratulate the home plate umpire, Stu Sherwater. He's 34 years old from Regina, Saskatchewan. And he has been hired as a full-time umpire. So he will be a full-time ump for the first time this season. And Sherwater is a alum of Baseball Canada umpiring. And he begins his big league career with 253 games under his belt. He had 153 games last year, but we want to congratulate Stu for being a full-time ump. He'll be a regular umpire this season, and that is a terrific advancement for baseball in Canada.
Put your time in, right? Down to the minor leagues, and you get rewarded.
Teoscar Hernandez getting his first plate appearance. He took over in right field defensively. What a spring he has put together.
Yeah, and he knows as of today that he is not going to make this team, which is unfortunate because he's had a big spring. He's done everything that the Blue Jays have asked.
And he continues to swing the bat well. He gets a base hit, and that's going to go all the way to the wall. The runner from first is going to come around to score. Hernandez is headed for 3rd, and he'll get there without a throw. Stay hot, Teoscar.
The Blue Jays traded for him last year. He came in and he did nothing but hit. Didn't disappoint. Went down to the minor leagues, found his stroke, came up September, had a big September for the Blue Jays. Had a chance to make this team, had a big spring. Unfortunately, the talk is now that he's going to go down to Buffalo. He's got bat speed. That is an under control swing right there. When you've got a guy throwing 97 miles an hour like that, you don't want to overswing. Nice and easy, catches it out in front and ricochets that ball off the wall. Look how free and easy by just using his hands hits that ball to center field. And I think because it was hit so hard, it really surprised the center fielder.
And then on this artificial surface, once it got past the center fielder, it was a track meet. Garcia in center, really fooled by the bounce on this artificial surface. 14 RBIs now for Hernandez, and it's a 1-run game. Infield drawn in for Danny Espinosa. Bo Bichette waits on deck. Base hit to left field. Espinosa drives home Hernandez, and we are tied.
Danny Espinosa has come over here to the Blue Jays. After playing for the Angels, Seattle, and Tampa Bay last year, comes over here after playing for the Yankees, and he's done nothing but hit. Takes that breaking ball down and away from him and just shoots it into left field to tie it out. That's Mike Maddox, the pitching coach. Head down, just make contact. Infield was back, and we are all tied.
When Espinosa got to first, he turned to the Blue Jays dugout and said, "I'm all right. Let me stay in this game." He's trying to make up for lost time. He was home for a while before the Blue Jays signed him and brought him into camp. So he turned around anticipating that John Gibbons might send in a pinch runner. And he said, "Let me have another inning or so in this game." DeMarlo Hale's the bench coach, talking with Mike Mordecai, who is a new coach, first time this year. Mordecai, long time in the minor leagues. He formerly played for the Expos as well. Talking about infield situation, the ball bouncing on this turf, getting away from the center fielder. And the Blue Jays have scored 2 here in the bottom of the 7th, and here is Bo Bichette. He can swing it. And he is not going up there thinking about a soft single to right.
He doesn't get cheated, does he?
But officially, he's 3 for 7 in the spring.
There is control to his swing. There's an understanding of hitting. He's not one of those wild swingers.
Ground ball to short. Second for 1. They can't turn 2. Second baseman had trouble getting the ball out of his glove. Brooke Jacoby, the hitting coach, has been thrilled with the spring Hernandez has had. He has worked hard. He backed up last September with a terrific spring training. He had 8 home runs in September. Espinosa with an RBI single ties the game at 2. And there's some good signs. Espinosa took advantage of the drawn in infield. Goes the other way. And here's another youngster, Roman Fields. Number 27, Guerrero on deck, but this time it's Junior. Vladdy Guerrero took over defensively at third. One and 0 to Roman Fields.
Yeah, Bichette and Guerrero might be getting all the publicity and people are talking about him. But standing around the cage today, heard a lot of good things about Roman Fields. It says one of the things I heard, he's starting to understand hitting, starting to understand what type of player that he is. The bat is starting to come around. He can really fly.
Fields for the spring. This is his 26th game. He has 17 hits and 46 at bat, a .370 average. His OPS is over 1. He's been terrific all spring long, and he's got some pop. But he has some tool that the Blue Jays don't have much of, and that's speed.
Speed, where you can manufacture runs with your legs. He's in a fastball count.
2-2.
Look at John Gibbons in the background. He was just eyeballing Fields. I mean, he was telling me, he says, hey, he can do some things with those legs. Create runs all by himself.
2-2 pitch. Foul back. Fields is 27 years old. He has never played in the majors. He signed as a free agent. He wasn't drafted after 4 years of college. Graduated from Bethany College in Kansas. Went home to Seattle. Started working as a postman. Worked for the post office. Then he got a call from his junior college coach and said, hey, I got a tournament I want you to play in Canada. And then he got a chance to sign. But last year in AAA Buffalo, he was the most valuable player. 43 stolen bases. He hit .291. He had 11 doubles, 5 triples, and drove in 29.
Can you say late bloomer?
Late bloomer indeed.
Huh? See if he can deliver right here. Set the table for that hitter on deck.
Takes it up and away. When you think about the future, Fields probably destined to play AAA. Guerrero on deck will be headed for AA, along with Bichette, who's at first. Full count, 1 out. There goes the runner. Cut on and drilled to center. That's going to hang up and be caught in center by Garcia, and Bichette returns to first. 2 away.
Le troisième but, le numéro 27, third baseman, number 27, Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Been a long time since that crowd has heard that name announced on the PA. 2 outs. Taking some breaking ball right on the inside corner.
I like what Russell said about him. He's a little bit more advanced as a hitter. The way that he took that breaking ball showed that he was in good hitting position in case he missed with that breaking ball.
Good cut at that pitch.
They had a little bit more of a free swinger, a little bit more of an understanding. Breaking ball, he swung through it.
Off the plate outside. Guerrero's first season, 2016, he was a 17-year-old and played in Bluefield in the Appalachian League. He had .271. He was 3.5 years younger than the average age in the league. Lays off that pitch. Boy, he had to wait a long time for Myers to deliver that pitch.
Thought he might call timeout, but showing supreme confidence by just waiting him out. This is great for young hitters. They're not going to face anything like this summer in the minor leagues. Guys throwing like that, like they are right now, in this type of atmosphere and these types of games, you want to make an impression for the manager. This is great experience for young ball players. Look at that.
Discipline. Guerrero played in the Dominican in Winter League. Got into 26 games, had 90 at-bats. He was 8.5 years younger than the average age in Winter League.
You can see him heavy breathing, taking those deep breaths, trying to calm himself down. You know he's got to be excited.
left field. That'll be caught, and that'll end the inning. Guerrero flies out on a 3-2 pitch. But the Blue Jays tied it. We'll go to the 8th, 2-2 here in Montreal. A 3-in-1 solution that rescues your lawn.
Well, you're in Montreal. When was the last time you heard this name over the PA address system? Vladimir Guerrero enters as a defensive replacement. The fans remember him, and he gets a standing ovation. So what do? You give a young fan the baseball. He's making a lot of fans already tonight.
Terrific night for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. as he is our player of the game. First time I've ever seen that, a standing O for a defensive replacement. Speaking of O, this is Sun Wong Oh. He is a former Cardinal. Last year in 62 games, he had a .410 earned run average, but he has thrown the ball exceptionally well for the Blue Jays. You can see a little smile over into that Cardinal dugout as he acknowledged some of his friends in the third base dugout.
Yeah, another ex-Cardinal on the Blue Jays roster right now. O was their closer a couple of seasons ago. They had some arm problems and lost some of that arm strength. He was saying the other day that I feel great right now, and his numbers show it in spring training. His fastball's been good. He's got a splitter that's been outstanding so far in the spring. He'll get an inning tonight against his former team.
First pitch swinging is Guerrero Munoz. His first at bat. 2-2 ball game in the 8th inning. There's a curveball that he will throw very rarely, but he throws it very well.
Yeah, one of those get me over type of curveballs. Let's see if I can sneak in a curveball here and get a strike and set you up for something else. He wants to get you out with that split.
Little cutter missed upstairs. It's 2 balls and a strike. Pete Walker was very encouraged in his explanation of what he has seen from O.
He says he's a veteran, he's got the arm strength back, and he knows how to pitch.
Two and two. Popped out of play. Ripped into left field, and Pierce is going to play it on a hop, and it skips past him all the way to the wall. Munoz is headed for second, and he'll stop there. with a leadoff double. Pierce was in between trying to come in to make a catch. Then he realized he wasn't going to get there, and the ball bounced past him.
Yeah, we'll see how they score that one. It might be a single and an error. Oh, missed his spot. He wanted to go down and away, and the ball ended up and in. Single, and it just hits that turf and just shoots right by him. It might be a hit and an error. We'll see, but just like that, after the Blue Jays tie it up in the bottom of the 7th inning, the Cardinals come right back and are threatening here in the 8th.
Leadoff man aboard, Patrick Wisdom, the first baseman, goes after the first pitch. Wisdom had a base hit in his only at bat tonight. Two-two. Top of the 8th inning. Oh, brushes him back with that inside fastball.
That was to keep him from trying to hit the ball the other way. You see Jose Oquendo, who has come back now to coach third base for the St. Louis Cardinals, coming in to have something to say to Wisdom. But O knows that he's going to try to hit that ball to the right side of the infield to advance that runner. Here's Jose. What a great baseball guy.
18th year coaching third base for the Cardinals. Spent a couple of years away from it, had surgery prior to the 16 season, spent last year down in the minor leagues as an instructor, and Mike Matheny's thrilled to have him back. Like having a manager on the field. Two and one to Wisdom. Ball was up a bit. Oh, didn't get to pitch an awful lot. He had some delays getting his work visa. Finally got it. He got it on a Tuesday. Toronto flew back, got in late Tuesday night into Tampa, and then pitched Wednesday the first time and came out through 7 pitches, 7 strikes.
Is it that easy? Right now he's missed a couple of times up.
That was the splitter that got away from him right there. Three-two pitch, fouled off. O is the 5th pitcher to work here tonight for the Blue Jays. Stroman went 4 2/3, and he was terrific. No walks, 6 strikeouts. He allowed 2 runs on 3 hits. The second run came in after he left. Danny Barnes, a third of an inning, gave up a base hit that led to the run. Luke had a good inning, a couple of strikeouts in his inning. Same for Tepera. He had 2 strikeouts in an inning of work, and now O. Bailey had to go off his glove. Foul tip. That's going to be trouble. Fair down the left field line, up against the wall. Munoz in to score, and the throw goes to second base, but Wisdom delivers a 3-2 RBI double to give the Cardinals the lead.
He looks like he can hit. First time up, you mentioned he got a base hit and was stranded at second base. Now it's a breaking ball that just can't get to the outside corner. That stays in the middle and doesn't break very much, and is going to cash that run in. Hitting an error as Munoz comes around to score the tie-breaking run.
Munoz had a single to left. He got past Pierce, went to the wall. He comes in to score on the double by Wisdom, and there's another swing by Alex Mejia.
These young Cardinal hitters, they get up there swinging it.
Mejia struck out in his previous at bat. Reaches for a tough pitch and fouls it off. Oh, 2. Ground ball. Guerrero bobbles, regrips, and fires in time. He stayed with it. We haven't seen a lot of Vladdy in the field, but I have seen that he's got a strong arm, and he showed it off right there.
He showed off he's got a pretty decent glove. We saw that game against the Canadian national team where he came in and short hopped it and then gunned it across the infield. This time gets in front of it, but then momentarily it pops out. No panic. That's what you'd like to see from young kids. No panic. Picks it up and fires it across the diamond. That served 2 purposes. 1, to get an out. 2, it didn't advance that runner. Good play.
This is Randy Arozarena. He came into the ball game as a pinch runner in the 5th, had a couple of stolen bases and scored the 2nd Cardinal run. St. Louis has now taken a 3-2 lead. High fly ball. Fields. He has plenty of room. Wisdom back tagging up at second. He's headed toward third, and he'll slide in safely ahead of the throw. So Fields makes the catch in center, second out of the inning. The runner moves from second to third.
Limit the damage. That's what you're thinking about right now. Hit, air, double. If he can come away with just 1 run given up, you got to feel like you had some success.
Two outs. Francisco Pena, the catcher, he took over for Yadi Molina. He popped out in his only at bat. He goes after the first pitch. Cardinals, of course, know O very well. He pitched for them the last 2 seasons, so they're up there hacking.
Well, they know he's a strike thrower. First of all, he's going to be around the plate. So get your swings in early.
There's a base hit into center. Wisdom comes in to score. Pena picks up an RBI, 2 runs in this inning, and it's a 4-2 ball game.
Tony's son, who has been told that he has made this team, really came out of nowhere to make this team. Invite to spring training, had a great spring. He'll back up Yadi Molina. That's a good piece hitting right there.
How about all the sons in this ball game? We've got Tony Pena's son, Vladdy Guerrero's son, Dante Bichette's son,
Craig Biggio's son,
Kevin Biggio's son. That ball's going to get past Fields and go all the way to the wall. Pena's headed toward third. He's being waved home. Bichette makes the throw to third to Guerrero. Not in time. Bo Bichette made a heck of a relay throw. 1 hop strike to Guerrero. But it was late at third. As another run comes in, it's a 3-run inning. Greg Garcia slides in with that triple.
Here's what you were talking about. Fields' job right there as center fielder is get it and get it to the cutoff man. Bichette is in great throwing position and guns it. You can see that would have been close at the plate. If he's out at third base, that run might not have scored. So the Blue Jays showing off some fundamentals.
Jed Jerko, he's gone the distance. He's 1 for 2 with an RBI, had an RBI single in the 5th inning. Nice play by Biggio. From his knees, he throws out the runner to end the inning. The Cardinals score 3 in the top of the 8th. We'll go to the bottom of the 8th. Now time for a Blue Jays Central update. Here's Jamie Campbell with Joe Siddle.
Boy, Kevin Biggio with a nice play there to prevent yet another hit off of O, who looks a little shaky. He hasn't had a whole lot of time in spring training. It's going to be an interesting composition of the bullpen, Joe, when we get to opening day on Thursday, don't you think?
Well, it's going to be. And it started with Aaron Loup here tonight, and he had his struggles as well, issuing a walk and then a base hit. Blue Jays also counted on Danny Barnes and Ryan Tepera an awful lot last year, so that workload is going to have to be monitored. Right now, Aaron Loup appears to be the only lefty in this Blue Jays bullpen. We talked about some of the veteran relievers that the Blue Jays brought in to try to solidify this bullpen and bridge that gap to Roberto Osuna. Tyler Clippard is one of them. John Axford is another. Quite possibly we'll see in the pen. Son Juan-O had his issues here tonight.
A lot of roster decisions still to be made. John Gibbons said they will be made formally after the game tomorrow, and that game comes your way here on Sportsnet. We'll kick it off with Blue Jays Central at 6:30 Eastern, 3:30 Pacific.
Partnership and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership. We are in Montreal. New pitcher for the Cardinals will be the left-hander Tyler Lyons.
Former 9th-round draft pick by the Cardinals in 2010 out of Oklahoma State. The Cowboy. Lyons has been with the team. It's really interesting what the Cardinals are going through right now. They haven't named a closer. They lost Luke Gregerson to the disabled list. There's some talk of Dominic Leone closing some games. There's some talk of Tyler Lyons, the left-hander out of the bullpen. His fastball's about 92. He's more of a sinker, slider, changeup type of pitcher, not one of those dominating, blow the doors off closers. But he's going to have his opportunities, I think. They're not real sure what they're going to do in the 8th and 9th inning as the season starts.
There was a lot of speculation that they might go out there and sign Greg Holland, who is still a free agent. He hasn't signed with anybody, just a few days ahead of opening day. But the Cardinals are not making any moves just yet. Luke Gregerson has a hamstring problem. Same for Adam Wainwright. Big starter they put on the DL.
Well, they've got guys who can close, but they just don't have a closer. Brett Cecil's closed in the past. So I think what Mike Matheny and Mike Maddox are going to do, they're going to go matchups. And if they've got a couple of lefties that they have to deal with, it might be Tyler Lyons or Brett Cecil finishing it off. Dominic Leone's had a great spring for the Cardinals in his first year with St. Louis.
Dominic, of course, had a terrific year with the Blue Jays last year. Luke Maile getting his first plate appearance. Luke has had a lot of opportunities this spring. Appears to be the backup catcher for Russell Martin. Maile coming into this game had caught 73 innings, the most by any Blue Jays catcher this spring. And it's really been valuable for him. Remember last year, the Blue Jays didn't pick him up until the season started. Little jam shot right near the bag at second, and Maile's thrown out.
Yeah, I asked him today, I said, did you play in this game last year? He goes, no, last year at this time I was in Rays camp. And it came right the middle of April that he joined the Blue Jays and had a crash course in handling the pitchers. I'll tell you what, the pitchers love throwing to Luke.
Absolutely. He's had an entire spring to really get to know them after catching them during the regular season, but it's been really important for him. This is Jason Leblebijian, the first baseman. He entered the game earlier, getting his first plate appearance. We mentioned Leblebijian has had a big spring. 48 at-bats coming into this game. He's hit .250 with a home run and 5 RBIs. I think he's played a lot more than he expected.
Getting a lot of playing time. Playing all over the diamond. Showing his versatility. Today he's over at first base. We've seen him at a lot of the infield positions.
Rowdy Tellez was destined to get a lot of the at-bats at first base, but he had to go back to California to take care of some family matters. And he was gone, and when he returned, he was sent to the minor leagues because he'd missed so much time. So Lev Levizian's had an extended opportunity here this spring, and it's been good for him. Got up to AAA last year. Pull on the ground through to the left side for a base hit. A one-out single here in the 8th.
Yeah, well, you mentioned all the at-bats in the playing time. Stayed back on that breaking ball nicely. Lyons tried to fool him with that breaking ball, but he's got enough of the plate. Look how that weight stays back just long enough for him to make solid contact and pick up a base hit.
Jason has played 6 years in the Blue Jays minor league system. He began his career in 2012. Steve Pearce. Pearce was robbed of a base hit back in the 6th, hit a hot shot down to third that Craig Garcia made a nice play on. Curtis Granderson started in left, and then Pearce took over defensively. That's interesting how things work out. Pearce has had 2 plate appearances, and they both come against left-handed pitching. His previous at bat back in the 6th was against Brett Cecil, and he hit a hot shot to third.
Absolutely robbed of a base hit.
Breaking ball got away from Lyons. The attendance tonight here at the Olympic Stadium in Montreal, 25,335. It's a Monday night, a terrific turnout for an exhibition game here in Montreal, and they've been treated to a pretty interesting night. Chance to see Vladdy Guerrero Jr. play.
Hometown boy Russell Martin got himself a double. They saw a great pitching matchup the first 4.5 innings.
Marcus Stroman and Michael Walker, that's pitch for pitch. Vladdy Guerrero took over defensively and had an at bat. He flied out to left field. So Pierce takes ball 4, and Lev Levizian goes down to second. So there are 2 aboard. Andrew Guillat took over as a pinch runner in the 7th and came around to score on the RBI triple by Teoscar Hernandez. Guillat, much like Lev Levizian, I think he's played a lot more than he expected. This is his 16th game during spring training, and he wasn't in camp with the Blue Jays. He's just been called up from the minor league camp when needed.
That's happened before, you know, where kids, they aren't even on the radar. And then they get that surprise call, and they come up to the big league team, and they start to do something. The manager keeps saying, hey, what about that Guillat kid? Remember him the other day, got a couple of base hits? Let's see what he can do. Believe me, managers and the coaches and the general managers remember what you do in these types of games.
Andrew is 24 years old. Pops this one high into foul territory up the third base line. Pena called for it and then backed out of the way. Hey, Garcia came down and Pena had called for it. Garcia yielded to Pena, and then Pena gave up on it.
Yeah, the pop-up priority goes to the third baseman there. Pena showing off, I mean, some range behind the plate, but that's an easy play for the third baseman because he's coming in. The play's in front of him. Here's Francisco calling it. I got it, raises, and he's getting ready to catch it, and then backs off for some reason.
Yeah, once he had his hands in the air, you can see Garcia saw the hands up in the air, so he pulls out of the way, and then Pena gave up on it. This is popped in the air to left. Guillot flies out, 2 down. So the mix-up in foul ground, not costly, as Guillot's retired on the fly ball. And here is the red-hot Teoscar Hernandez. Boy, what a spring he has put together. He tripled and drove in a run in his only plate appearance back in the 7th. Had a sinking line drive to center field that Garcia couldn't play, went all the way to the wall, and he ended up at third.
You know, as a young player, when you have this type of spring and you feel like you've got a chance to make the ball club and you're disappointed right at the end of spring training, if you get sent down, you have to have a good attitude and go down there and say, you know what, I'm going to get off to such a great start. I'm going to be the first guy they call. I'm going to force their hand. And I asked some of the Blue Jay people how he was today. How's his state of mind? They said, you know what? He's positive. He's always positive. You know, he knows that he has a good shot of making this team, but if he gets sent down there, he's going to have that great frame of mind. And he's going to do what he needs to do to get back to the big leagues. I mean, it happens every year, doesn't it? You've seen it for years and years. Young kids, because of options or because of a veterans ahead of them, whatever it is, for some reason they don't make the team. It's the attitude that you show after that's so important.
He leads the team in RBIs. The RBI he picked up earlier this evening is 14th of the spring. He's also pounded out 4 home runs. Another good at bat. He's going to pick up another RBI. Lev Lebejian is around 30, comes in to score. Hernandez is 2 for 2 with 2 RBIs.
Force their hand. Teoscar, just keep doing what you're doing. Young hitters, they get anxious at times. Not a bad pitch from Lyons, but it's a pitch down and away, and Teoscar stays right with it. Blue Jays every day, their first round of batting practice, hitting the ball the other way, and that's picture perfect right there. Down and away fastball. Split the outfield, pick up yet another RBI.
So Mike Maddox, the pitching coach in his first season with the Cardinals. Long-time pitching coach. He has been the pitching coach for the Brewers.
Texas did a great job with the Rangers.
The Nationals. He has been around a long time and been a terrific pitching coach. Pitched 15 years in the big leagues himself.
I think he knows a little something about pitching.
Yeah, his brother was pretty good too. Craig Maddox. 2 outs. Kevin Biggio, the second baseman. Biggio, he kind of gets overlooked with all of the attention directed towards Guerrero and Bichette, but from what I have seen this spring, he can play. Last year in Dunedin at 233. He'll probably be the second baseman in Double-A New Hampshire.
I saw the whole infield of the Double-A today taking batting practice, and I said, we're talking about Guerrero, Bichette, Biggio, and Max Pentecost. We saw him. I'd probably play some first base or catcher. I said, wow, that's a pretty good Double-A team. They got some thunder in that lineup.
The Blue Jays are starting to get players backed up. back down into the minors. And you thought that was a strike as Hernandez moves into scoring position, and he represents the tying run.
Francisco thought it was strike 3 and was actually on his way back to the dugout. Looked like a pretty good pitch from Tyler Lyons.
Third stolen base of the spring for Hernandez. Biggio strikes out. The Blue Jays score a run, but they leave 2. We'll go to the 9th. The Cardinals have a 5-3 lead.
That Hall of Famer Vladimir Guerrero could not be here tonight, but he is definitely watching. Guerrero took to social media and tweeted the following: "Thank you for letting my son wear number 27. Buck, the tweet has been liked over 4,000 times since @Vlad Guerrero 27 posted. Certainly a proud day for the Guerrero family.
Absolutely. Number 27 worn by a Guerrero here at Olympic Stadium, and I don't know that we expected that would happen, but Vladdy Guerrero has played third base. He's had an at-bat. He went 0 for 1. He flew out to left field and got a chance to play on the field where his dad started his Hall of Fame career.
Now into the ball game, Roberto Osuna, 7 games this spring. What's new? 7 strikeouts, no walks, just doing his thing, hitting his last bit of work before the season starts.
Drive to right field. That's over Hernandez, up against the wall. Greg Garcia rips the first pitch for a leadoff double here in the 9th.
Roberto, fastball. Here it is. Just trying to get strike 1, and Garcia. I'll tell you what, these young hitters for the Cardinals are going up there swinging it. They're not wasting any time.
Greg Garcia, we had a chance to visit with him. His grandfather, 97-year-old Dave Garcia, longtime manager, coach, big leaguer, a terrific guy. And Greg was telling us his grandpa still keeps a close eye on baseball.
He couldn't believe how many people his grandfather knew in the game of baseball. It was in it for how long? 50, 60 years? He was in the Cleveland organization when I was there. Just a great baseball guy.
One of the best. Adolis Garcia, center fielder. 0 for 2 with a couple of strikeouts. Struck out in the 6th against Loop, struck out in the 7th against Tepera. Late on that fastball. Roberto's had so much success, it's easy to forget that he's just 23 years old. Gotten off to a terrific start to his big league career. There's another good fastball, extra life on that last pitch.
Yeah, now with the runner in scoring position, the kind of guy you feel real safe when the Blue Jays have the lead in the ninth inning. You feel very comfortable. He's done such a good job of finishing off ball games. There was a time last year he ran into a little bit of a problem. There were some games where he gave up the lead in the ninth inning.
Gets a strikeout there. Took something off that pitch for the first out of the inning. Strikes out Garcia. He strikes out for the third time tonight. Roberto had 39 saves last year. He's got 95 saves for his career.
Took a little something off of that pitch after about 3 or 4 straight fastballs. He's always tinkering. He's always trying to improve. He can cut the baseball. He still has that great fastball, and his strength is fastball to the corners. He doesn't go up there just, let's see how hard I can throw it by these guys. He's got a plan.
Hey, the All-Star team for the first time in his career. Roberto turned 23 on the 7th of February. 23. Fly ball to right, no problem for Hernandez. Garcia back to tag. He's going to head for third. Strong throw, not in time. Good throw by Hernandez. Garcia moves up. But now there are 2 outs.
You can see Teoscar right on the bag. Thinks he's got him. Well, it's just a hair late.
He's done a little bit of everything, and he didn't come into the game until late. He's got 2 hits, an RBI, a triple, stolen base, and he almost had an outfield assist. Are you guys sure you want to send me down?
Just keep playing baseball.
There's a drive into the alley. Pierce on the run. Fields is there and makes the catch. Roman Fields with great closing speed got to it before it hit the turf. Patrick Wisdom has been swinging the bat well all night. This time he's denied by a terrific defensive play by Roman Fields. This ball looks like it's going to drop safely in the alley, but Fields runs it down to end the top of the ninth. Appreciation from the pitcher. Thursday, the Blue Jays will kick off the 2018 season. The Yankees will be their opponent on the Honda home opener. Thursday, all the coverage begins at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. That's 10 a.m. Pacific Time right here on Sportsnet. Luis Severino will start for the Yankees, and Jay Happ will make his first opening day start for the Blue Jays. Join us on Thursday as we get the 2018 season underway. Dominic Leone. You can see his season a year ago, a terrific year for the Blue Jays. He appeared in 65 games, and he was outstanding.
Yes, he was. Opponent batting average just .202, and he's kept it up with the St. Louis Cardinals. I'm not a betting man, but if I was, this might be the closer right here because his stuff resembles what Dominic closing can be. This spring, he's already had 3 saves in his 9 innings of pitch to go along with 12 strikeouts. Good fastball and a good overhand, hard breaking ball.
Bo Bichette bounced into a fielder's choice, his only at time up. There were a lot of concerns about Bichette when he first signed. Everybody saw his batting style. He's a very active hitter in the batter's box. A lot of moving parts to this swing. High fly ball to left.
You know, I think the first thing you do when you draft a player, you don't start changing them. You know what I mean? You start changing them. If they don't have any success, then they blame you for changing them. I think just let him do what he does. He hit .360 last year in the minor leagues. And now if you need to tweak something or if you got to change something, do that as you know, you go along. I know he's anxious to get to Double-A. You and I had a chance to talk to Bo this winter, and he's anxious to get to Double-A where pitchers can really start putting game plans against you.
Yeah, he's a very mature 20-year-old. And you can see him talking to Steve Pearce. You know what? The veterans on this team, they've embraced these youngsters. Every one of them. Not just Guerrero and Bichette, but Fields and Biggio. And it's a good atmosphere that they've developed here.
I think that's what the Blue Jays are trying to do, where you marry the minor league teams or the system with the major league teams. They want them all together in spring training, where you might be taking batting practice with a major league player. They want them all to feel like major leaguers, so they're not overwhelmed when they do get to the big leagues. Gosh, there was a time way back when young kids would come up and the veterans would just shun them, wouldn't even talk to them. So you got to put some time in the big leagues before we can help you. Now it's all about the name on the front of that jersey.
Roman Fields fouls it off. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes with 1 out. Fields made a terrific catch to end the top half of the 9th. Saved a run for Roberto Osuna. Having another good at bat. This is what he's done all spring long.
He had a great at bat. His first at bat back in the 7th inning. Long at bat. Saw 8-10 pitches before flying out to center field. His job right now, get on base, get that tying run to the plate, because there's some home run possibilities coming up.
Buried in the dirt, and Leone really cut that one off, bounced it well in front of home plate.
Dominic Leone, unknown a year ago at this time. He made the team, and you know, he'd come in and he'd pitch well, and then John Gibbons would use him again and he would pitch well again, and then pretty soon he started pitching in more meaningful innings towards the end of the ball games. Had a sensational season, but the Blue Jays felt they had some depth in their bullpen.
3-2. Good job by Fields as he works for the walk. A 1-out walk.
Le 3e but, le numéro 27, third baseman, number 27, Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Guerrero flied out to left field in his previous at bat.
I thought he just missed that pitch. It was a 3-2 breaking ball from an unknown guy. Never faced Myers before. And I thought he just missed it.
Great discipline for a youngster. And we mentioned Guerrero turned 19 on the 16th of March. He was born right here in Montreal.
Cardinals are going to make him think about it now. Got to challenge him, doesn't he? 2-0. I mean, he doesn't have to.
Mike Maddox out to talk to Dominic Leone with a runner at first. Guerrero represents the tying run.
He hit a ball the other day, Vladimir Guerrero, against Pittsburgh, right off the base of the wall in left field. Some of the players were saying it's the hardest hit ball that they've seen this spring. Tremendous bat speed.
A cutter off the plate. 2 balls and a strike. He asked the umpire if that was a ball. He knew it. Off the plate, he chased it.
Young hitter asking the umpire if that was a ball or a strike.
There goes Fields. No throw from Pena. Fields picks up the stolen base, his 3rd of the spring. (3-1) to Vladdy Guerrero Jr. Blue Jays trail 5-3, bottom of the 9th with 1 out. Another hard slider from Leone.
Yeah, he's not giving in. He now has a base open.
Fights it off. The thing that has caught everybody's eye is just what you're talking about, the plate discipline. I mean, he's just not up there wailing away. He's only played 181 minor league games, but he has 122 RBIs.
Plate discipline, an idea.
Up the middle. Guerrero grounds out on the play. Fields moves to 3rd, but now there are 2 outs.
Another good at bat for a young player. You can just see that there's a lot of promise and a lot of potential in his bat.
And you can bet that all these youngsters anxious to get to their respective teams and start their minor league season.
They wouldn't throw him a fastball. A lot of breaking stuff and trying to keep the ball away from him.
So Luke Maile, Blue Jays down to their final out. Luke grounded out to 2nd. His only time up. Tough strike down and away. Of course, Maley knows all about Dominic Leone. Caught him last year. Leone had a terrific rookie season with the Mariners and then couldn't find it.
Battled some arm problems for a couple of years. Last year he was healthy. 81 punch-outs in 70 1/3 innings for the Blue Jays. As the season wore on, he started pitching some very important innings.
Well, you're right. When the Blue Jays made the swap with the Cardinals, Leone was included, as was Connor Green, a minor league pitcher. But the Blue Jays get an everyday right fielder.
Yeah.
In the prime of his career.
Yeah, and again, they felt like they had some depth as a right-handed relief corps, that they felt like they could trade Leone. There was a need there for the Cardinals and a need there for the Blue Jays.
A ball and 2 strikes. The Cardinals 5 runs on 11 hits. The Blue Jays 3 runs on 7 hits. The only error committed by the Blue Jays. Steve Pearce charged with an error in left field. 25,335 in attendance here tonight in Montreal. Leone strikes out in a melee, and that'll do it. The Cardinals win the first of 2 here in Montreal.